Then I light it up and I walk up and I take a fucking Mark II flamethrower and I just light it on fucking fire. I just blow the fucking thing up in front of everyone. Everyone's cheering, going, yeah, yeah. Then while it's still on fire, I stand on top of the hood and I start jumping up and down on it, going, fuck it, yeah. And as they're all cheering your name, going, rebel, 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 I just take my Glock 21 and put it underneath my chin and
tickle
my fucking brains out right there.
You're listening to the Art and More podcast with your hosts, Nathan and BR. Nathan is a Canadian illustrator with a couple years of military experience, and BR is a British anarchist that moved to the States. Both are passionate shooters and community builders. Together, they run the Seaburn art page. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. This is Rebel SMG.
Hello. Yeah, I guess you just kind of introduced yourself, so that's what I have to do.
Well, I guess there's an opening bit. So here's my opening
this is like
bit.
the one time I've just caught myself and been like, I want to open with a bit, but I don't know what bit we have to open with. And now we just fucked the whole thing. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Art and War Show. We have Rebel SMG of Rebels Raiders, formerly of Cannae Pro Gear. Cannae?
Yes. Cannae. That's what, I'm sure actually the Italian was Cannae, but I pronounced it Cannae.
Italian?
Yeah.
It wasn't Italian?
No. The battle was. The Battle of Cannae.
Ah, okay. I was about to say, we have a history with Italians on this show. But yeah, no, welcome on. I'm glad we finally got to do this. We've been talking about this for a fucking hot minute.
Yes, because I constantly call Nathan and I say, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be, now I did do the Rebels Raiders thing, but I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make more content. It's going to be good. And he's like, I'm here. And then I don't, because I make content and then I throw it away. And I actually literally have, now I'm not bragging everyone, because trust me, throughout the episode, I'll go over it. On my left-hand side, and this is a person who I'm pretty sure I've already burned the bridge with, is I sent to administrative results. I said, hey, every time I make content, I hate it. And I just delete it. I've spent like close to $2,000 on content that I've made myself that I just despise and then delete or don't post. Then I didn't say the money amount. I just said a bunch. And then he just replied, ha ha ha, skill issue, get good. That was what he responded with on Instagram. So right here next to me.
This is what Italians do. You can't trust him.
Oh, he Italian? But
yeah,
right here next to me.
I love that guy though. He's great.
Well, I do. I like him too. I mean, I don't really know him. When I met him, the experience was my fault. But anyways, real quick, I do have a Post-it right here on the left-hand side of my computer that says skill issue, get good. And I have it posted and I look at it all the time and it hurts my feelings constantly. So, yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I did want to just roll right into, for the audience listening, you're going to hear, which I think this is unique for everybody. You're going to hear the perspective of what I call a tactical industry viewer, or the viewer getting to go to the event. And because I just came back last week from the Demolition Ranch influencer event, because I'm pretty good friend with.
I heard about it basically after it happened.
And I told you about it on the plane.
Immediately I was sad because I was like, oh, no one told me about this.
Everyone knows. I texted Nathan kind of going, Nathan, I'm pretty sure I fucked up, man. I'm pretty sure everyone hates me, dude. Nathan's like, who are you talking about? And I'm like, I went to influencer meet and that was terrible.
That's so fucking funny. Yeah, how was it? I saw Sam Hyde was there, which is awesome.
So to tell everyone what it is, and the reason why I say it's from the viewer perspective and it comes from my version, and I actually literally had this talk with administrative results briefly. So Donut Operator invited me out before, which was last time. He invited me out, but I couldn't make it. I wanted to go with Threat Llama. Then he invited me out again, and I didn't realize that this one was like huge. I guess last time was like a trial run, and this one was huge. Now here's the next thing. Besides a few people, I actually don't watch a whole heck of a lot of GunTube. I just don't. Yeah. I'll occasionally pop in for one Grand Thumb's more popular videos, right? Like one that gets all the memes come out of one of them, which is pretty, obviously he has pretty consistent stuff, but one that's more popular than the next one. Yeah. And I have a funny story about that, but anyways, I watched that. My dad is huge into it. Occasionally I'll pop on a Brandon Herrera meme review because one of my memes is in it, right? So I'll watch it. But really, I don't watch a lot of GunTube. I don't. My dad is far more into it. But anyways, yeah, Donut Operator invited me out. I wanted Threat Llama to go. He didn't want to go. And to be honest, I didn't want to go, not out of anything that was going on with anybody there, because I don't have any problems with anybody ever.
No, drama.
Yeah, I don't have that, right? I just honestly felt weird getting that invite and being like, oh yeah, Rebels Raiders gets to come out. I'm like, why me? It's like, well, you're an influencer. Like, that's you. I'm like, all right, okay. And I didn't even go, right? For example, the event was last Thursday, I think, right? I didn't get the ticket.
This is going to go up on Sunday, Sunday the something, before Christmas.
So, okay. So the event was the 7th, right?
Yes.
I didn't book the flight until the 6th in the morning at 12 a.m. because I just got done with the Caffeine podcast and they convinced me to go. So I booked the flight that midnight and then I drove down to LAX like literally 14 hours later. And then that's how last minute it was for me. And that's when I got that like freaking roach infested Motel 6. And I made that post on Twitter like, oh, I've arrived. And this is these are the the domiciles fit for an influencer of my rank. Right. But anyways, so Don't Operator invited me out. If Don't Operator listens, thank you. And it was just, I just felt weird. I just felt weird being invited because I'm like, this is not kind of me. I'm not really the guy. I'm kind of like I said, that's why I want to tell everyone in the very beginning, like, you're going to get the viewer experience of being in the party. Cause I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of the guy on the other side of the screen that doesn't even comment on videos. I'm just like watching, like, oh wow, one day I'll get to meet Grand Thumb, maybe, right?
I feel that intimately. It's a lot of, especially starting out, really imposter syndrome.
Oh God, it's like horrific.
I think a really important thing to do in this industry is never take yourself seriously. Fucking never take yourself seriously. If you're listening to this, please, for the love of God, don't take yourself too seriously. We're all fucking nerds. Sorry, continue.
Well, there's the next part. So what I did to prep was I watched, by the way, I also, on top of Rebels, which I do want to talk more about Rebels Raiders, but I also maintain a full-time job. So in the hotel, I was just working on my full-time job that I have currently. So I do Rebels Raiders and that. I probably could stop that one, but I just like having the extra money. I don't spend it. But anyways, I watched like 10 videos of Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat. From the new Mortal Kombat, I watched like 10 of his cutscenes because he's just this over-the-top, overconfident, like Hollywood type, right? That they're making fun of like Jean-Claude Van Damme in the 80s. I'm like, but you got to walk in there like you're Johnny Cage, man. When you see a camera jump in front of it, when you see some of the people like jump into conversations, you're talking about people with millions of subscribers. I mean, you go in there with like a dick full of confidence. And then as I got my Uber driver, I'm going to brag a little bit, sounds douchey, but I got my Uber driver. My fucking Uber driver knows who I am. And I'm like, that's freaking crazy. Like, that's nuts. And he even goes, oh, yeah, okay. He goes, I remember you from Cannae. I'm like, holy shit, dude. That's insane. Like, my Uber driver in fucking San Antonio knew who I was. And I'm like, that's crazy. And then he even asked for a picture with me afterwards, like when he drops me off. I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. And then I go to the event. I have a lot of confidence. And then I see everyone. And then I promptly shut down, like, completely. Like hiding behind the porter shitter, like looking for flights home, shut down.
Jeez. Like just being overwhelmed by the entire experience.
Yeah, like just everyone's there and everyone's like big and they're walking around and I'm like, holy shit, I'm fucked. Right? Like, I'm like, dude, like if anyone watches The Office, it's the scene where fucking like Toby gets invited to Robert California's dinner and he's like, I believe you all to be winners. And Toby goes, you know what, guys, I'm sorry. I don't need to be here. I'm sorry. I'm gone. I'm gone. Bye. And then just sends up like, that was me. So, like they had like a bunch of guns laid out and then there's everyone just walking around talking. To be fair, by the way, I want to make sure, because I know a lot of people were there. No one said like anything bad to me or no one did anything to me at all. Like quite the opposite, right? If anything, if anyone walks away from that fight, dude, that guy's an asshole. Like that tall guy from Rebels Raiders, dude's an asshole. Because I am completely and utterly like, I can't even like function, right? And the only thing I did was I walked up to all the guns and I'm like, dude, if I grab a gun, I'm not Lucas Bakken, right? Like I'm not, And that's a positive reference. Everybody put down the memes. Everybody relax. I was saying that positively. Okay. I was like, I'm not going to go up here and just like do something cool. I'm going to make an ass out of myself because everyone up here, you know, every time they mention a gun, it's like a NASCAR. They go over the 40 different modifications for it. And I'm like, I have a Glock 21, like, because I'm pretty simple in that regard. But they had like all the guns laid out. No, I know them. I know what they are. I'm familiar with them. I know how to shoot them. And I was like, oh, I never fired an AUG before. And I've always wanted to. And I like the AUG. I mean, I like the way it looks. So I pick it up. And then the guy hands me a mag and I load 10 rounds. I'm like, okay, you're doing good. You didn't mess up. You know, everyone's watching because they're just there. And then I fire 10 rounds on steel. Then I go to rack the freaking, you know, I go to just rack the handle back, right? On the charging handle. And like we do with an AUG is my hand is big. Then I just scrape my knuckle on the fucking mount of the scope. That is one of the drawbacks of the AUG is that the charging handle is so close to the actual action that you usually like rip your hand open on the freaking scope that's on there. Right?
Funny you bring up AUGs. That was basically what the last episode was about.
Okay.
But yes.
Well, I did that and they yelled, fuck. And then everyone just looked at me and I'm like, oh man. And they're like, what was wrong? I'm like, nothing. It's good gun. Yep. Good gun. And then they're like looking at me and they're like, what? They're like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Lucas Bakken from T-Rex Arms. Thank you. And that was like how I introduced myself the rest of the day.
That's so fucking funny.
Like I would just introduce myself as like Grand Thumb's producer or like Lucas because I was like, I did not want to tell anyone who the fuck I was, dude. I was so like just embarrassed. I was like, oh yeah. You know Mike Jones? Like, oh, you know Mike? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, my name is Philip Patterson. I'm actually his producer, so I'm just going out here checking it out. Like, oh really? Like, oh yeah, you know? Oh no, I'm Jake from Corridor Digital. It's like, who the fuck? Like, I just kept saying random things, like random nouns of people of like to other Gundams that I knew. Right? They're like, yo, I'm Jack from CDF Defense. Like, I never heard of CDF. I'm like, you haven't heard of CDF Defense, dude? We're big on YouTube. It's like, really? I never heard of you. I'm like,
my name's James Yeager.
Yeah. So I did that lip, and then I kind of just like hung out.
Like, I'm Highcock 45. Nice to meet you.
Hey, I'm Colion Noir. What's up? It's like, what the fuck? I did meet Colion Noir there, by the way. He was actually really cool. And
I've heard he's a really nice dude. Like,
yeah, I've interviewed him before. What is interesting, I'll do a little bit of drama, is when I came back, a little bit of drama, nothing to do with me. When I came back this week, a bunch of the influencers are like fighting on Twitter. And I'm like, you guys were there like 20 feet from each other at the meet. Like no one said anything to anybody ever about anything. It was all positive. I'm like, then once you guys went back to Twitter, you guys just went back at it, which I thought was kind of odd to me. Yeah. I'm not gonna name them, but I was like, a few of them were just like going at it. I'm like, I saw you guys like next to each other.
Well, I think that there is something, and I say this again, I don't use Twitter. I don't know who's going at it. I remember back in the day, I knew people who would purposely start fights with each other on Twitter simply to get the engagement and to get people following the drama and therefore following both of them. A lot of it was manufactured. Not saying that this is. I have no idea what the fuck happened, but
I don't know if you're correct. It's kind of like the Jake Paul versus Logan Paul stuff, right? Where you can manufacture drama, but I also believe and I've noticed this about myself, and it is actually a problem, because your incentive is to get engagement, then I think it starts to become more than kayfabe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, like that's like the wrestlers. I know that's like the Montreal Screwjob is like kind of a famous piece of kayfabe from wrestling, where they maintain it so much that you don't know what the hell is actually real, to your point of where you go, well, okay, there is a difference between I pre-planned a beef and then the next one is, no, wait, are you in character or what's going on here? Because social media does require you to put on a little bit of a character. And then if it just continues, you're like, wait, well, I don't know what you're getting at, because wait, were you saying what you're saying is true or you making shit up? Like it's kind of hard to tell. So the answer is
probably explain what kayfabe is for the listeners.
Oh yeah, so kayfabe was actually made popular. I think it comes from like original theater, but basically the best description of kayfabe today would be wrestling. And the idea is, which is what happened at the very beginning when wrestling became super popular, is that you never break character. So if an alien were to land and watch wrestling, right? It's actually false reality presented as real. Like, as in, if you watched wrestling and you had no outside context, you would think that it was real.
Yeah.
Because they never do anything that's obvious to show a break in character or obvious to show that this is fantasy. It never actually breaks, like, ever. So that's where people call kayfabe, is that it's fake. The audience semi knows it's fake, but the actual participants never do. And then that comes into an issue, because then not all the audience thinks it's fake, because, sometimes the audience is retarded. So, or sometimes the audience doesn't have to be retarded. Sometimes the kayfabe is really good. So then you you buy into it and you go, oh, then you get super involved. And in even worse cases, you actually know it's fake, but you don't care and you join in anyways because it's entertaining. So for everyone listening, kayfabe means basically it's acting and it's false, but it's that character's never broken. So you basically have to know. The only way you know that it's false is that you know something's up yourself. But no one on the outside ever tells you that it's false, or no one on the inside ever says it either. You just kind of, that's kayfabe, basically. I was going to say something that nobody else wants to hear. I was going to quote a New York Times article, which I know nobody listening to this wants to hear. There's a New York Times article was really good. And I don't read the New York Times, but it was called "Is Everything Wrestling?" And it was literally about that, where our reality is now shaped by the fact that it's all performative. Right. The most recent president. Yeah, it's just performative. Like the most recent president's really good. Right. Very good example of like, oh, when he's in, great. Oh, this is bad. That's great. This is bad. But then when he says the opposite, it's like, oh, that's good now. So that's probably one of the better examples you could ever give of kayfabe at large, was like the last president of the United States. I'm not speaking anything. I'm not going to go into any political things. What I'm saying is it's clear.
But it's like a running trend on this show, and in reality in general, that it's all performative. Politics is an act. It has been for a very long time. It's just a lot more obvious now.
Yeah, and then we actively participate in it. Like, we're the marks. Like, we are the suckers to our own show. Like you're paying to get ripped off, in the sense that you're jumping in. Like, at the end of the day, wrestling's just entertainment. But like, no, but we're turning entertainment into our lives. And it's like, but it's you who's doing it. So you're the one who's trivializing your existence. Like, you're the own sucker to your own show. So that's a whole different bit. And I think the tactical industry plays into that a little bit. I think, but I don't know if that would be kayfabe or. Go ahead.
I think to a degree, so some people know how to weaponize, trends. And I'm not talking about anyone specific here, but we'll get into this later, I'm sure. I want to keep it somewhat on topic before I go on a schizo rant about how
we can
people manufacture drama for engagement and sales. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's the next one you got?
What's the next thing I got? You were halfway through talking about the show. Well, not halfway, but...
That we could go back to that one. I did better in the after party. I did a little bit better, which is surprising. I don't really do well in bars, but I did a little bit because I did what I do best, which is you could probably tell by Rebels Rares. I went out and bought stuff for people. So I went out and bought a box of cigars, good ones, and I started handing them out. So I'm a little bit of a briber in that sense. So that's how I get it. That's how I get people to like me, is I kind of just buy stuff and just go like, okay. Yeah. And the reason why I do that is the behavior. I'm just so like awkward up front. I just I feel better just getting stuff that people can enjoy than having them enjoy it. And the entire night, I kind of just the safety net. I kind of just bothered the Americana Pipe Dream guys who more or less let me in more like a dog out, like an orphan dog that they saw in the rain. They're like, okay, you can come in, like you come on, just come over here. Like, and I was like hanging out with them. I don't know if they enjoyed that experience overall, but they did like tolerate it. They're like, yeah, okay, you can hang out with us if you don't want to just stand there by yourself and like look weird. So it was them and Micah Mayfield. And then Micah was trying to keep me involved as well. And the next one I talked to the Chieftain quite a bit because my dad's a big fan of him. I talked to him a lot, but I just talked about content. And then I talked to the guys from Tacticon, talked to them quite a bit. So they went over content, product design, stuff like that. I've never even heard of them before until I saw a few of their videos on Twitter. And I just talked. I don't know if you know about them, but I had just like talked to them. I had never heard of them ever until like literally 3 days before that event. And then I met them. They're very nice to me. I talked to, It's Nolan is the guy you see a lot with the flip-flops, and the owner of the company, Jake, I think. I talked to him quite a bit.
I couldn't tell you. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'm so criminally offline. This like most of the way I learn about people existing is through this show.
Interesting. Well,
Yes.
This is kind of weird. You're like the show, which you don't see yourself as that way. But I'm kind of like, I'll get into it later. But like me being here is like kind of crazy to me.
That's humbling. We're just some retards having fun, and I really
but
like.
Here's the thing. I thank you, but you guys like aren't though. Here, like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like, I was gonna tie this in a little bit later, but I remember when you guys launched, and I was at Cannae, and I'm like, I gotta get on that podcast. I really do. That's why I like talk to you. And I sometimes I feel bad because whenever you're in this mode, you view other people as like transactional. And that's not how it started, but it gets in the back of my mind. And I don't like that because you're in the business. So you go, well, I want to go on those things to like talk about my product. And like, I don't like that. But like, dude, I saw you when you like first launched. And I was like, dude, I want to go on there. I want to like talk to him because I saw what got me was I call him Rainforest Cafe T-Rex Arms. He's an older episode. I forgot his name, but he's just like T-Rex Arm, but he's like environmentalist. Like that was his pitch. Who was
Gorilla
it?
Tactical?
Was it Gorilla? Okay, it was Gorilla Tactical then. Yeah, I just call him Rainforest Cafe T-Rex Arms.
He's a fun fella. Yeah, he's like very, very different. He's very different from.
And that's what I liked about your episode. When you went over all this, I was like, oh, because I'll be honest, that's why I don't really into GunTube. To be honest, a lot of people say the same shit over and over again. I'm like, okay, right, great. All right, yep, Dips effing Scar. That's they're all infringements. Yep.
Better than other gun.
Right. And I'm just like, and the political rhetoric, like I said, the political rhetoric is kind of the same, right? It's like, oh, yeah, they're all infringements. I agree. Like, it's just, that's why I've been like, yeah, everyone kind of, but when I heard him and I was like, oh, he's taking plate carriers and M4s, but he's talking about saving pigeons, dude. I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I want to hear this, right? I want to hear this point of view.
Yeah. I like that. That's part of what I've really liked about the show. Sometimes we throw some real fucking oddballs into there. Like two of my favorite episodes are when we just had a fucking teacher on and when we had the mortician on, just because it was different. It was different, but like somewhat tangentially. Like if you squint really hard, it's related to the overall theme, but I love that shit.
Well, that's what I try to be, but then that's the problem. If you try to be different, then you run into issues because then you're trying to be original, but then not really. And that's where it's kind of hard for me to find out where Rebels Raiders fits in, to be completely honest.
Well, that's something I said to you near the beginning. I want to say it's like two big things. One, you're humble. Two, you're wacky. Three, just fucking be yourself, because you're very fun to talk to.
Well, thank you. But okay, let me bring up the be yourself part, right?
Yes.
And I'm gonna. Well, I only mention names when it's positive. Okay.
Yes.
And I say this because I want everyone to hear this. I think about, and I mean that like in the obsessive way, right?
Yeah.
Like I probably think about him more, and the reason why I say that is as I go like it's like marketing perfection. I get like obsessed when I watch it. Like I watch it where I go, he just said like a paragraph, and he never doubted himself once in that entire paragraph. Like he can say anything. He could just look at the screen and go, my name is Michael Jordan. And you're like, he believes it. He believed what he just said, right? I can't do that. I can't utter a sentence without then literally having so much self-reflection on it that I like disprove it next sentence. Like, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe not. Like I can't. So don't worry. I'm gonna get off. When I look at that level, I'm like, dude, that is somebody, which there's a lot of things I disagree with. And I was even going to rip into, I have a $700 box of gear literally right behind me that I was looking at for product research, which I'll admit I wasn't entirely impressed with. But my point is, when I look at that, I go, that is someone who wakes up every day and does not have a doubt in his mind ever about anything. And if he does, he hides it very well. Now, that leads to contradictions on other statements, as I'm sure everyone listening is like well aware of, right? Where you go, well, I don't know, man. You did say that last time, but this time it's a little different. But I go, I can't. It's the reason why I mention that is I want to have that level of confidence where I just like wake up and go like, I know because I always point north, baby. Like I just can't, like, I can't wrap my head around that. And that ties into a problem with Rebels Raiders. Cause like one minute it's like, wait a minute, you're talking about like prepping. The next minute you're just like basically treating Twitter like a therapy session. You're just like going off. Like, so I have to find, as like the Tacticon guy said, that North Star, that's the guiding principle. And my entire piece has always been become ungovernable, which has never been an anti-government message as it was a pro-individual message to say, well, if you're more well-rounded, if you're physically fit, if you're financially responsible, you're morally and ethically straight, right? A little bit of Boy Scouts there. And your ability, which I've always pushed, is the ability to have a culture that's accepting of getting gear and training with it, which has in the tactical industry. I go, well, once you do that, if you get more people into that, I think they're going to want less government in their lives.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have that mindset of individualistic perspective, of individuality, I've always been like, yeah, that I think that'll lead to less government involvement. So then people don't vote for them. People don't think that way. That's what I think, at least. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, but I still need that North Star of Rebels Raiders to say, what is this about? Right. Like even right now on my website, I literally wrote, equipping serious shooters. Oh wait, that's the other guy. Become ungovernable. Like I'm still like joking. Even people go, "What are you about?" I'm like the other guy, but funnier. Like I don't even know. That's like an issue.
I think it's better to be overly introspective than not introspective at all. Not that
I would prefer not introspective at all. I'd make a lot more money if I was.
There's a bliss in ignorance.
Yeah, I want to be able to just open a website and go steel plates #1, and then just when anyone challenges me, I just call them a cuck or a Hillary supporter, and then just block them. Like that's just the way, right? Just
go, you're a gay Antifa, commie, fascist, Hillary supporter, Trump supporter, retard,
and then block, right? And then but the question was, hey, where's my order? And I'm like, oh, okay, cuck, block. Like just do that. Right. And it wasn't that. I was like, hey, where's my order? Like I bought something from you. But yeah, I'm trying to figure, all right, what else you got for me? I'm babbling too much. I'm trying to keep it on.
No, you're totally okay. What did it feel like?
Well, sorry, go ahead. What was that?
What did it feel like being at that meet? It's funny that we've gotten this far talking about, all of this, and we still haven't gotten into like you and Cannae Pro Gear and Rebels Raiders and all.
I never do. I got to do a better job of talking about it.
Into this we never stay on track, and we never do anything in the right order of operations. So we'll get into that after.
It's my fault though with that one, because I don't find it that interesting, but I have to sell it a little bit better. But anyway, how did I feel? How did I feel about it?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, everyone's like, dude, this is like interrupting after interrupting after interrupting.
No, dude, I'm constantly interrupting other people. It took a lot of training. Like Mitch and I had a whole system where you'd click the little hand at the bottom that like, here, I'll do it right now. The listeners won't be able to see this, but like CBRN has something to say.
Something to say. Yes. By the way, everyone watching, he's literally raising his hand in a podcast that he is the host of.
Yeah, it's like a digital hand raise. I click this little button and it raises a little digital hand saying, CBRN has something to say. But like when the two of us were on at the same time, BR and I have finally like figured it out, which you'd hope that we would have after 2 years of recording together. But that like it took a while for me to not interrupt, and I still do it. I still absolutely do it.
I think you're fine. I think you're doing good.
I appreciate it.
But you know what? I love the influencer meet, to be honest. Everyone there was cool. It was my own imposter syndrome that probably made it worse than it should have been as far as any interactions. Like I'll tell everyone that the interaction I had with administrative results is he was like, oh, okay. Like I introduced myself and he's like, okay. And that was it. And then later on, I kind of explained, like, yeah, it was kind of weird. You have to like say your name and then say your brand right after. And it's kind of hard because I don't, everyone here is just so like above me. He's like, what do you mean above you? I'm like, everyone here is like so fucking famous. And he's like, what am I, just some entity floating around? I'm a normal guy. And I went, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not. It's not true. He's like, what do you mean? I go, well, you're not an entity floating around. Yes, I know you're a person. But I go, to be honest, though, everyone's here because they're famous. That's why. They're clearly not just normal people. Isn't that why you guys do your job, to not be normal people?
respectively agree with him. And like, obviously, with all respect, I don't disagree like negatively, but I will say, you know, being part of this world, and I'm a Z-list. Everyone's, you know, it means nothing. I've been saying this since the beginning, and some people may disagree with me. Like, fame means less than nothing, in my opinion.
If it
Everyone's
means less than nothing, why does everybody want to do it?
Why does everyone want, like, okay, why does everyone want to like be like the Kardashians? Why does everyone want to? Because we have a really fucked up view of what constitutes success in this society, and I don't want to go into like a whole this is a
Dude,
society thing,
we should.
I don't know. It's I fell
Well,
into
you
this.
know why? It's because attention is currency now, right?
It is, and like what while I can see that it can indeed lead to money and opportunity and whatnot, I don't think it's necessarily wise to seek it. I feel like it's kind of like power. It's like the people who seek it are usually the least deserving of it. I do think that like most of the people that I've met in these,
No, that's that BR shit coming out right there. That's BR right there.
which oh yeah, I mean,
you're like the people who seek power, are the ones who do not deserve it, and they're the ones who should be
tickled.
I was like, oh, that's BR. There he is. There he is.
Oh,
he's here.
Yes.
Sorry.
Get that tickle in there. I've been thinking that way for a little while, but like I've met a lot of these people, and you know I've been in a position where, you know, being the in a former life I've been like the big person in the room, like doing other things, and it just gave me imposter syndrome, and I truly do think like it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. Like, you're a good person or you're a bad person. You are interesting or you're not interesting, and the amount of followers that you have on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or any of that shit does not matter even one iota. And I think that like the thing that I hate the most is when people treat me differently because of it. I want to be judged for the content of my character and the things that I create, and not how many like people out there watch or enjoy my content. And I'm a Z-list compared to a lot of these people, but I like to think that when I meet them, I treat them the exact same that I would treat someone that's serving me coffee at Starbucks. And
one might say you have a dream that your fellow brothers and sisters will be judged by the content of their character, but not by their subscriber count on YouTube.
I'm sorry, I went on a whole fucking rant there, but yes, I do have a dream that that one day we can get over the gay consume followers thing, but maybe that's just me being pretentious. I don't
think so, because remember, I don't know if everyone's. Oh, not sure. I guess we can go back into the Rebels Raiders piece of it. I believe not only that is that I believe this is all pointless, but this is the when we say the consumer part. What was that?
That's very like. Have you ever read The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus?
No, I sound stupid that you say that and I say no.
No, it's not. It's a basically a. I don't want to call it a study, but it's more like a philosophical book about. Are you familiar with the myth of Sisyphus in general?
No.
It is about a man in Greek mythology who was punished for bringing fire to humanity.
You mean
by
Prometheus?
No, wait, not God, fuck. What did Sisyphus do again? I've read this book.
Okay.
It's ancient Greek.
Is the end result? It's just pointless? Is it just like that's the point? It's just a nihilistic, like, hey, this is all pointless. Push the rock up the hill. It goes down.
Yes.
You're good.
You've already figured this out.
Okay.
And you're
right.
right.
I know you were getting a little lost on who it was, but I'm like, I think for the audience, the point is that it's just pointless, right?
Yes. You're right. He cheated Zeus. It wasn't the point of the book. The myth wasn't the point of the book. It was moreover like finding meaning in the absurdism of life as opposed to the nihilistic pointlessness of existence. But I won't get into that all of that. I've embarrassed myself enough already.
It's all right. All you can do is stare at the void and laugh. But yes. the thing is, but when you do, and I didn't treat anyone differently, obviously. When you just get a little bit more starstruck because you see them, they go, well, they're people. They put on their pants one leg at a time. I go, that's true, but their pants are far nicer than mine. Also, they probably didn't pay for them. They're probably given to them. So there's the difference, right? The difference is they can afford far many more pants than I can, and they probably don't have to buy them. They're given to them because they're so popular, right? And if anyone who says, because they'll go, well, and none of them there said it, but then they'll go, well, fame doesn't matter. I go, okay, great. Delete your YouTube channel. Go ahead.
I know, but that's almost like saying,
Go ahead.
and like to again, friendly banter contradict that. That's
Yeah.
like saying, oh well, my job doesn't matter. Okay, quit your job. It's like it does matter in terms of like it keeps you alive and puts foods on the table, but
the job part is keeping you alive, but they can all be sustained without having their YouTube channel.
I mean,
The point of it is to be famous, right? That's what they want. They want to be. No, they do. I'm not judging them for it, but the people like that and myself want to be famous. That's why you do that.
I guess. I don't know. I don't want to paint everyone at the brush because
No.
I have met people who are in that position. They don't really like the attention that comes along with it. They simply do it because at that point, like they like the process of creation, and like
Really?
popularity came as a secondary function to it. And it, at a certain point, like it helps pay the bills. It helps, like well, once something helps pay the bills, it helps you create, which pays the bills, and it helps you create. And kind of a byproduct of that is attention. A byproduct of that is attention, listeners, subscribers, whatever, so and so and so and so. But that's not the primary function. It's kind of like, and again, I hate to use myself as an example, but like I am the person that I can see into the head of the most. I can give you anecdotal views on my own philosophy as opposed to anyone else's. It's like I don't really like attention. I know that there's easier ways to get it, but like there have been times where some of my content is done well enough that I've taken a month off because I didn't like that. There have been times where I've gotten so many DMs or like we got a rush of new people. I'm like, well, I'm going to go into the woods for 2 weeks or something similar because I found it overwhelming. And obviously it's not everyone. Some people want to be famous. Some people don't. Some people, and I can't speak for everyone, but I can't be the only person out there. They just want to create and they just want to talk to like some people that are like-minded and like make a bit of community. But I've always found like the idea of being famous, I don't want to say like abhorrent because that would imply it's a negative thing for other people. I just don't want that. And
I'd much rather be known than famous. That's what I prefer to be.
Even then, like I'm happy like without people knowing my name. I'm happy with like my stuff being out there and people maybe have a signature attached to it or like something, but I could.
Well, that's what I meant. Like my memes, when I see them and someone goes, and like when multiple don't know them, because I see my memes out in public all the time. When I say public, I mean, internet public.
Like the sphere, yeah.
Right. You'll see them just reposted on Twitter and I'll see Rebel and I go, oh, that's me. And then someone in the comments will go, that's Rebel. And I go, cool. Then that's where I'm like content with. That's where I go, okay, cool. And like I said, I much rather be like at that range day. If I had my druthers, I would much rather not be on top of the Hummer, like, smiling, but I'd much rather everyone go, oh, dude, that's Rebel SMG. Yeah, that's like kind of the official backpack of this industry. Like everyone has everyone has that backpack.
Yes.
Like, I keep making the stupid 40, I say like the Silent King. I keep using that like the Necron King, where no one really knows exactly who you are, right? And no one's actually seen you, but they all know like your mark of your work. Like everyone, you've been around, like everyone knows, right?
Yeah. But then I would count that away from the individual and more put that towards like the legacy.
The legacy, right? Speaking towards, I'm like a really quick note. I don't know if he'd be as popular with this group. Everyone you meet there is really cool. Everyone's really cool. There's one dude though. By the way, Tim Kennedy showed up in a helicopter and that wasn't even that cool. Like it was like, okay, whatever. Right? I wasn't there when he showed up. I was there when he left. But he left in a helicopter and was like, okay, great. Okay. Do you want to know the one dude who like, and I keep bringing this up, you know that scene in Jurassic World? Do you watch Jurassic World?
I have indeed watched Jurassic World, yes.
Right, I like the movie. Remember that scene where Chris Pratt is driving through the fucking jungle on his literal road motorcycle with a pack of CGI Velociraptors running next to him?
Yes.
Right, and it's really cool, but if I was on that bike or you were on that bike or literally anyone besides Tom Cruise was like on that bike or Tom Cruise or Chris Pratt, it would look really stupid. Like you have to be particularly charming and have a particular gravitas for that to work.
Yeah, a certain jawline, I think.
Yeah, there's one guy who could fit on that bike too. That's Demolition Ranch. Dude, I've never seen that up close of like Hollywood old school star power. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like where you look and go, shit, dude. Holy shit. Like he doesn't say anything. He said like 4 words to me, which was like, okay, yeah. Thanks. Like that, I think those were just 4 words he uttered to me when I met him, right? Because he's like so busy because he's running the whole range. But that dude has like that Chris Pratt. Like you're like, dude, I honestly like. I said this about one of my friends. Like right now, you could probably take everything away from Demolition Ranch, all this money, everything, delete all his channels, right? And right now, I would literally take all my money. I already did it with Rebels Raiders, which I'll go into that. But I would take all my money and I would bet that he'd be back in like 5 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Some people just have that like gravitas.
Yeah, like I'd be like, dude, you could literally delete his life right now. You could like you look at him and he was talking like the way he was like talking to people and like I'm like and the way he was like handling everything. And even though it was mostly Donut and Brandon's show, when you look at him, like, dude, you could delete this guy's life and he will be back exactly where he is right now, like kind of king, at least of this place. He'll have this ranch back. Like you could take this ranch from him. And he did not get here by accident or got lucky or just hit a stream and just kept going with it. Like he got here because like, and by the way, I know people are like, you suck at his dick. Like I literally spoke 4 words to him and I don't even subscribe to his YouTube channel. Like my dad watches it, but I'm like, damn, dude, that's like crazy. Like I still just, in my mind, I'm taller than him by like a foot. I still think he's like 10 feet tall. Like it's like crazy in when I think of him, as I'm taller than he is, but I'm like not when I remember it. When I remember it, I'm way shorter.
Yeah, he's interesting in that like I kind of came into GunTube and like when I watched it, and I haven't really watched it a lot since. Was I want to say in like the mid 2010s, so like Matt V 2099, Highcock 45. All of those like OGs that you don't really see anymore. And I kind of missed the Demo Ranch era. Like we're still in the Demo Ranch era, but like most of what I see of his stuff is memes. So like
what do you mean like Demo Ranch, like making quadcopters or something?
Yeah, and even then it's just like on Instagram. I can't say I've ever actually watched any of his content. It seems nice though. Like
I'm just saying when I saw him, in my mind, he's like 10 feet tall and I'm like 6 feet and I have some self-esteem issues. So then like that's something different. But I'm just like, yeah, when you meet Demo, you're like, whew. The only thing is I kept calling everyone there, which I'm sure the girls listening, Paige was running around. She was really fun. She was the only woman who would make eye contact with me. So, Paige was there. I know she's been on this before. And she had, I did say hello, and she had a little tiger, like I think it was a Pikachu, but it might have been a tiger.
A tiger onesie.
Tiger onesie. So that's about right. So she was running around, getting just being top of the line. So she was really cool. But yeah, the rest of it was just what I call like bodysuit hose. That's what I kept calling it. I'm like, because like the look there was basically edgy Matt Best. I was like, yeah, okay, so next time I come here, I got to have a beard. I got to have a full head of hair. By the way, everyone there is like good looking.
Arc'teryx jacket and Solomon's. Is that still
no? It wasn't. Okay, it was in between that. It wasn't full Black Rifle, but it wasn't also full Goon. It was like in between. So it was beard. It was like it was basically just Grand Thumb. It was beard, full head of hair, big upper body. T-shirt size, one size too small. That was like some sort of green earth tone color, arm tattoos, and a gun belt.
That tracks.
Yes. And I was kind of like, you guys all look like the Nashville Han Solo hose. You know, when you go there and they all have like the blue jeans with black motorcycle boots, and they have like the blacked out jacket with a white long sleeve shirt, like, live, laugh, love hose that you see like in Nashville and shit, right? Like you guys all kind of look the same to me. Like at a certain point, they all blended. Even Brandon Herrera made the joke. He's like, "Yeah, go to the guy with the earth tone shirt." I'm like, "Okay, you mean fucking everybody here?" Yeah, like it was. That was the look. So I'm like, all right, next year I'm coming back. I'm getting arm tattoos. I'm getting. You want to? Trend.
No, dude, you got to peacock. You got to stand out. I think you go in tie dye, and you wear flip flops. Short, like booty shorts, and carry a Starbucks everywhere.
By the way, that was like half the women there. That's not true. There's a few women there who are like that. I was like, I didn't quite get what was going on. I was like, I call the bodies like they all they have a look to them, and I keep trying to describe it. It's like when you go on and you see throughout social media, like if you hang out outside tactical Instagram, everyone looks the same. Like if you hang around finance TikTok or finance Instagram, Like
Yeah.
everyone's from Brickell Bay, Miami. It's always some kid with these like curly hair. He's like 19 years old. He's like, I'm worth $400 million. And he has like a Pro Club t-shirt, a chain. And he's like always leaning over. And he's like, listen, give me $40,000. I'll turn to $1 million with my drop shipping business on Amazon. Like that was, everyone like looked this. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like everyone looked the same.
Yeah.
Everyone like kind of like, they all like look the same, which I thought was like kind of odd to me. But anyways.
It's just the fashion. It's a cultural thing.
Well, I want to talk about that one guy who posted, and I want to quote admin results here. When he talked about that, remember he was on this podcast and he talked about the people who shot the donkey. And one of the best lines I've ever heard from admin results is admin results goes, yeah, I would have told them that, hey, not everything needs to be posted online. Like that was admin results like thing. Like, you know, who was that one guy? I don't know who he is. I don't want to say his name, but we have to talk about this. The guy who was like all goon out, like but he's like Tundra got stuck in the mud.
Oh, I saw that. And someone else changed his tires for him.
Yeah. But
was that the same guy who shot the donkey? I thought it was.
No. What is it? That would be really funny if it was.
I just kind of assumed that that's kind of the unfortunate thing about everyone looking the same in that space. Like everyone, the helmet, the nods, the shirt.
What is like? What is it? What is the shirt? The black shirt, which I'm actually wearing a black shirt right now, which is hilarious. But
same actually, and it's got a skeleton nods on it. So
with a skeleton on it with quad nods. And then it says in the back, like, it has like some stupid saying like "dance with death," but the person's like never left the cul-de-sac. And then like they're wearing some pants, like you said, they're wearing Vans, and they have the fast helmet, and they have the BNVGs, and then you know their Glock has more freaking names than a character in Game of Thrones. And you're like, but I don't know what that like. What is that? Like, do you go on Instagram and go, "This is what I am now. Like, this is who I am." Well, that's why someone accused Rebels Raiders of being a goon brand. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, how is Rebels Raiders a goon brand? I'm like, well, it's the black with the white. And I'm like, and then you have all these like, I'm like, wait, have you seen my page, idiot? I'm like, it's Rebel. Like the last comic was Rebel teaming up with like Wendigos to fight aliens. What the fuck are you talking about? It's a goon brand. I'm like, but I don't know what goon brand is. Like, it's weird that exists like that, that's like being like, who was a guy who faked being special? Travis Raids, right? That was a guy who said he was special operations.
There's like one every other couple weeks.
Okay. But isn't it more like Travis? I think that's his name. Isn't it more interesting? People have lied about their credentials forever, right?
Yes.
Von Steuben, who trained like the American Revolutionary Soldiers, right?
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I'm a high lord. Like I think at most he was like a logistics lieutenant in like the Prussian military or something, right? Yeah. Like he talked about having some great field marshal, and they're like, okay, whatever, let him in. Who gives a shit, right? Whatever. He just like, we don't know. And he literally like came in there with like a monocle and a top hat. Like literally, he dressed up like I'm a British lord. Like whatever, we don't care, right?
Wait, fucking where was this?
Everyone knows is Lafayette, but in the Revolutionary War, there was a guy named Von Steuben, right? Yeah. Who did a lot of training on the American military at the time, the Revolutionary Army, and trained them how to be in formation and how to battle the entire thing. He showed up. Everyone knows Lafayette, but like Von Steuben showed up like dressed like a nobleman when he was just like some guy in the military. But he said that he was a grand marshal and that he was like the grandest thing ever. Like he literally showed up with a monocle, like a top hat on. Like I'm the shit. I'm like the Lord. Like, you know, Frederick the Great himself jerked me off or whatever. Right. I think Frederick the Great, but it doesn't matter. But the point is my point is people have lied about their credentials forever. Yeah. My thing was about like the Travis Raids part was that Von Steuben had to say, I was in the military. I did all this. Right, like here's my stuff, but like the Travis Raids, what got people to believe it was the fact that he just dressed a certain way. Isn't that interesting?
This is true, and he knew how to talk. I remember that one.
Yeah, sorry,
it happened, and it turned out he was military, wasn't he? He was like
11 Bravo. Like he didn't have to lie. He could have just said I was 11 Bravo. But I go, it's interesting to me that if you have an that there is a special operations Instagram aesthetic. Yeah. That's interesting to me. that if you look at an Instagram, you go, oh, here's the filter, here's like the position, here's where you're taking a knee while you have all your battle rattle hairy hand job shit on, and you talk about quad nods and violence. Like there's gonna be one shot of you, like there's one famous shot I saw, I still to this day don't know what it is, where it showed like some guy, it might have been forward observation, something, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But it showed like he was standing in the middle, like a spotlight on him, and the background was dark. And he was standing there with like Cry M81 pants on, with like Solomon's, and he had his hands on in his pockets, and he had like a jacket on that had mags in the front, and he had some cool guy M4. I'm sure people listening know exactly every single detail about it. Like, okay, it looked like it's some soap mod M4 to me, right? Some cool guy M4. And he had the helmet, the quad nods.
We have a surprising amount of non-gun world listeners too.
Well,
so.
that's cool. What I'm saying is he had everything there. He had all the stuff on.
Yeah, he had all the things.
Yeah, and he was looking down at the ground, and then the caption was, "Ask me if I give a fuck." And I went, "How is this not just like glamour shots for like chicks on Instagram? Like, how is it any different when when the chick took a photo of her vacation in Greece and she's just staring off into nothing?" But I'm like, what am I looking at? I don't know what are you looking cool? Like, does someone see that image and think it's cool?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? I'm legit asking.
I don't know. I think it's the boys showing off to each other. I do.
That's weird. Because that's why I did the Rebels Raiders the way it is. That's why Rebel is a fat goat with quad nods and a shema on, and that's why I have shirts that has Cheems, rest in peace, where it says Operator, because it's but that's the joke. The joke is that like Rebel is like a goat with quad nods on. It's a funny joke. He's not a skeleton. It's not like, I'm not talking about violence. Like, it's a goat. It's funny because it's the least tactical animal there is. It's a fat animal that does nothing all day, right? It's like funny. I think it's funny. I thought that was the point. Like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm going on some rant, but go ahead.
No, I do think that the whole, and this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Everyone takes themselves too seriously, and there's this weird like internet weird machismo, bravado, whatever you want to call it, involved in this space where it's like, oh yes, like this guy is so cool, quad nods, and so, and then those same dudes are getting their tundra stuck in I think people care too much what other people think about them. I agree with you, but then I go, but isn't that my job as like the brand guy using social media to push my brand? I have to literally care what people think about me. I mean, because that's how I get more people, right? That's your job, and I think you can do that for your job, but you don't necessarily have to do that for like you in real life. I think there's a certain point where like the two overlapping too much can become unhealthy. Not saying at all, obviously.
I think that's where I'm at permanently.
Yeah. Apparently, I think like you know the moment that it becomes unhealthy, and that's like when it starts to creep into and affect your real day-to-day life, or your mental health.
Because like right now, like even before I came on this podcast, I was like, dude, you should just go on here and Alex Jones the shit out of this, right? Like go on here and absolutely go stark raving mad, talk about like, you know, government hospitals on Mars, talk about like the vaccine's actually not what you think it is. It's not even that. It's a chip that goes into your blood and then you're gonna turn into a fucking turtle. Like go really into it, because then if I go nuts, people want to watch more, and then they'll come back and you'll get a ton of views and go, dude, get Rebel SMG back on here. The guy flips the fuck out. It's hilarious. It's like really fucking funny, which I will do. I'm just doing a little bit of warm up. So all right. Anyways.
No, dude, you're fine. I think what's important and why I like this show so much is, and you know, I'm saying like I like my own show so much. I don't even care if that's conceited, whatever.
You should. It's a good show.
Oh, thank you. But part of why I like it is it's just a genuine conversation. It's just the same conversation you and I would be having if the record button hadn't been hit.
And that's the beauty of the 21st century, right? It's like the conversation that you and I would have had in private. We will now monetize it. We will now use it.
I mean, sure, but we don't get paid for these episodes.
Like,
I mean,
we're not
listen, you know, so much as
everybody listening, you know those intimate moments that you have with your friends and family, monetize them.
We're monetizing it, which absolutely not a shill. I do have one of your plate carriers, and it's fucking dope, and I love it. And
Thank
I
you.
wish
And
I could find
yes, I love it's like I love it, but I wish I could find it. It's underneath the AC1. But
it. I've had a lot of plate carriers in my day. It's somewhere. It's in a box here. The only you make me feel better. Literally, the only plate carrier I know where it is my AWS one.
Let me ask you this: not because I'm here. You have a lot of plate carriers. Where do you rank it? What tier?
What tier? That's kind of the problem. I don't agree with ranking as tiers. I agree with ranking as use case. Use case. I don't particularly like slick carriers. I do actually like carriers with a little bit of like pickup, nylon. I mean, not nylon. Well, obviously, yes, nylon. Like modular attachment points, things like that. I think it's a pretty damn good like mid-level carrier that can carry a bunch of shit, comes with everything you need. And now I'm doing a fucking ad read for you motherfucker.
Did it on purpose. I'm also going to hug you for the artwork for it.
I didn't even realize I was doing it. But no, I do actually really like it. And I did like the fact that it came with everything. Like, came with a decent placard, came with a bunch of stuff. Did you ever start releasing them in any more than black?
No, and that was my fault. So at Cannae, when we made that was in 2020, which is like crazy that it came out that time.
Yeah, but, I would imagine there was a material shortage.
It wasn't even that. I wish I could say that, honestly. No one else at Cannae had that vision to make it, and I rushed it to market so fast that I never thought of just sourcing a green.
Yeah, because I think like a green and a gray. Do you guys still make them? Because I think like
Cannae doesn't exist.
Yeah, but
the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I already have some plate carriers here that I'm going to use as a reference for sizing because I want to make sure I get that correct. And then yes, that is literally the next one. So I plan on bringing the Vicarian back at that price. I'd like the $140, $130 price. So it's going to be the Vicarian, shoulder pads, cummerbund with retention tabs. It's going to have a placard. I'm going to back and forth on what kind of placard, but it might be the same style placard. 5, 6 inches,
like
7, 6 inches.
Kind of like modular. I like the ability to scale. If I may make a suggestion, I think
of course
not a lot of plate carriers come with like tubes, like the first spear tubes or anything like that. And I think that could, if it doesn't raise the price, it could be a good option.
I'm going to do first spear tubes in the cummerbund.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it on the shoulder straps. I think those are annoying.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I wouldn't want that up there. I'd also find that annoying. But on the cummerbund, if you're already doing that, then fuck, okay, that's great.
Yeah, I already have the prototype made. So the goal for everyone listening is I'm going to make the plate carrier have literally everything, and you're going to get the entire. It's going to be what you have to spend at not First Spear. Who's the other one that everyone loves? Spiritus. You have to spend probably $200 and something at Spiritus to accomplish what I'm going to give out for $140.
Yeah, I really like that plate carrier, and I think like offering it in gray and green would do pretty well.
It's going to go out gray. It's going to come out with Ranger Green. That's going to be the one I'm going to heavily invest in. I'm a Coyote guy. I think Coyote is superior to Ranger Green. That's me. But it's going to go Ranger Green mostly. Then it's going to have some Coyote, and then I'm going to do a few hype camos with it. So I'll do M81, and then what I have to do is I have to match the hype camo to the coloring of the hardware.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like the AC1 has green and black, right?
Yeah.
And I won't keep mentioning that stuff, but I'm just saying I'm using that as an example, right? So I have to, what I'm trying to do is once I make the hardware, I'm trying to find hype camos that kind of match the contrast with the hardware so it looks good.
Yeah. No, that's probably a good idea. And I do think that has legs.
I appreciate that.
I like Coyote gear. Green works better here because I'm in the fucking Pacific Northwest. But, Coyote works basically everywhere. I remember having a lot of Coyote gear back in the day, back in like mid GWatt. Coyote gear over like all black has that early 2000s fucking Blackwater vibes. I love that shit. Right. What were we talking about again?
Cannae, but I want to tell everyone the reason why I recommend Coyote gear, and which is probably need to sell some on Rebels Raiders, because I know it's a big thing with Americana Pipe Dream pushing it, is Marine Corps gear is always Coyote, and Marine Corps infantry gear is probably one of the best pieces of kit you can get at a great price.
Yes. Oh, dude, my buddy just bought a TAPS rig for like $15.
Yeah. You can get really like the Marine Corps pushes up the Army stuff. The Army stuff that's the is it Molly, right? Molly. Right,
yeah.
the Molly system, the modular, whatever the hell, the Molly system, and the Scorpion W2, aka knockoff multicam, right?
Yeah.
I find that to be decent. Like I find it to be okay, but it seems like the Marine Corps, especially all the infantry gear, is always pretty good. Like it's always a little bit more. Like it seemed like the Army stuff is a little bit more like it's kind of designed for everybody. It's like if you were an 82nd Airborne or you were in the rear, like you're working the cannons, it's the same like gear. But the infantry stuff the Marine Corps gives out, it's like it seems to be a lot more infantry focused. I was in the Marine Corps and I like a lot of the stuff. So I use a lot of Marine Corps.
Your military career. How the fuck did I not know that? I've been talking for like 2 years.
Oh, you know why? I don't bring it up because the industry is not very veteran friendly. So I don't bring it up. I don't.
I don't know if you're fucking with me right now.
I don't. I think it is because I think there's a vet bro versus bro civ piece. Yep. So I don't like bringing it up outside of the fact that I just use it for comedic effect.
That's fair. I do think that like most of that controversy is entirely manufactured. It's not real.
I 100% agree because the bulk of people who are veterans are the stewards of the industry, right? Like, I don't know, Grand Thumb, Mac, IV88, Warrior Poet Society, Mr. Guns and Gear, Rob Ski, right? Like those are all veterans. Donut Operator is a veteran. Like those are all veterans. So I think the bro civ piece comes out and I'm not a big fan of that. But I also know, but then again, because Dakota Meyer was retarded on a treadmill, which this day I still don't know what his point was. Like, I don't think everyone else realizes that entaire rant is just him on a treadmill. Like that's what he's doing. He's on a treadmill.
Which rant?
The one that you even made a comic about it when the most vet bro rant of all time.
Dakota Meyer. Yeah. Dude, that was like what fucking episode number 1 of the podcast was about that rant.
Right. But I don't even know what he said. But my point is, he like one guy, I wouldn't say, I don't know what I think he's changed his opinion since then, which you're allowed to do, or he's covering, it doesn't matter, but he's changed his opinion.
I've seen him double down on it since like within the last year or two.
Okay. Well, then he doubled down on it. I don't agree with his opinion. I don't. Right. Yeah. About like, just because you have gear, you're LARPing. Obviously, I don't agree with that. But I go, but that's one guy. That's like one guy on a treadmill. Like, does that compare to Grand Thumb? Yeah. Right. It's like Grand Thumb's a veteran and has far more outsized influence than Dakota Meyer on a treadmill. Right. Warrior Poet Society, John Lovell. Right. Like IV88 original gun tuber. Right. So I think maybe the vet bro stuff comes from the Black Rifle where you looked at firearms as more of a lifestyle and like it's not very great, but and I don't have any hatred towards anybody there. I'm just going like, I never got the whole like popcorn fart humor type shit personally. Well, it's like, that's what I'm saying, right? Like if you watch Black Rifle Coffee videos, it's like, oh my God, like get a life snowflake. And then like the chick is like, I have tits. And I say things like vagina. You're like, okay, I get it. Great. Everyone has tits and dicks and whatever. Like, does that make sense? Yes. Like it's kind of people like, are you offended because it's offensive and you're a snowflake? Well, no, I'm not offended. It's just not funny. It's not funny. Like making 9 cock jokes in a row about coming in coffee is not that funny. It's like, no, you're a snowflake. It's like, no, it's just not funny. It's not funny. That's just not that funny. It's like you can make offensive shit. It's not that funny. Right. Yeah. And I have no hate towards that. What I'm saying is I think a lot of that, now again, he said it's manufactured, right? Because you have to have the pushback. You have to be like, oh, you have to have the pushback against something because that's the industry wants. We want to fight somebody, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that's most marketing these days. I think like basically every company does it at this point. Like there's always a heel, as you were talking about the kayfabe
wrestling,
thing at the beginning. Yeah, there's always an enemy because it's easier to rally people up against an enemy, be it imagined or otherwise, than it is to simply get people excited for something by its own virtues. And I think like not necessarily that's what Dakota Meyer is doing, but like Disney does it. You know, everyone fucking does it these days. It's one of the laziest ways to generate engagement.
Remember they did that with Star Wars, right? Remember Disney was like people were saying that Obi-Wan Kenobi was like terrible, right? Yeah. It's like, dude, this is bad. And then they were like, dude, that actress who played Darth Vader's like hidden apprentice It was
Yeah.
like, dude, she's a bad actor. And now I'm sure there was a bunch of people who said racist shit. I'm sure that happened. I'm sure it did. It's just internet, right? But like, no, but the show is bad and she's not doing a good job. And then Disney goes, but when but people are like, dude, this show is crappy. And then Star Wars like, there's 999 million sentient beings in the galaxy. Choose not to be a racist. I'm like, exactly what you did. Like, we know what you're doing.
Yeah,
right? You're throwing it that way. Yeah, because you're throwing it that way. What you just said, you're throwing it that way. That way you go, oh, it's because everyone's racist. Well, I'm not racist, so this show's great. It's like, that's not how that works. The show sucks. That's nothing to do with that. But like I said, I'm sure there's some assholes who said something that was inappropriate. Absolutely. It's the internet. People tell me to tickle myself all the time, right? Like all the time. And I don't even do anything. But I'm like, people. But sorry, going back to my other part, because I mentioned the Marine Corps, is I don't like, I mean, I'll mention it and people know, like, oh yeah, Rebel SMG was in Marine Corps. I don't like it because whenever you bring it up, it's kind of like, to be honest, I'll be honest, everybody. In my opinion, there's far more people in this industry who shit on the military for not being good shooters than people who say I'm in the military, so therefore I am one.
Well,
a good
it's
shooter.
like again, like in my opinion, anecdotally, because I was military. I don't bring it up a lot, but like
I didn't know that either.
Oh, well, now you know.
Wait, were you in the military? That's awesome.
Yeah, just a few years. My equivalent MOS, I guess, would be like 11 Bravo.
I was a machine gunner. There you go.
Oh yeah, so was I.
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
It's like an ancient M249 from like 1987 or some shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like quadruple feed. I feel like you can be both of these things. You can like not make it your personality and like stay above and away from that particular manufactured controversy. Like I think like the loudest voices on the internet makes things seem a lot more real than they actually are, when reality doesn't actually kind of reflect like all of the yelling that we see online so often. Like this whole bro vet, bro civ, oh, you have an LPVO on your gun. Well, you're wrong. You should have a red dot and a unity riser. Oh, get the GBRS Hydra. Actually, that's dumb. Wait, you just need a 20-inch barrel with a 2-10 now because that's the meta. Like none of that shit actually exists in real life.
Exactly. By the way, I'm going to apply that to the city of Los Angeles. Guys, it's actually kind of cool. It's not like because the industry is terminally online, right? What you just said. You're terminally online, so you think all this out. Like, guys, I went to Disneyland. It was fine. I did not get assaulted by any trans people. I'm not saying that shit doesn't exist. I'm not saying that there's not fucked up shit. I'm not saying there's a lot of shit I don't agree with. I'm not a liberal by any means, and I do not agree with all the politics of California. But I go, guys, I went to San Francisco with my family. I had a lovely time.
Yeah, I actually was down there with Cerebral Impact, I think a year ago now. I got stuck there, and we went and shot his somehow California legal Mark 18 for a little bit. No, it was a good time. That being said, we basically beeline to the range and then his place and then back to the airport.
I hung around the city. I went looking for all the Walking Dead homeless, and I'm not saying that the city was fantastic in the sense that I want to live there. I don't want to live there. I'm not. San Francisco's not my thing. LA.
You ever go to Spokane? Because I've been to Spokane. There's Walking Dead homeless.
Well, okay, now I'm not saying these things aren't true, but I'm like, I went to San Francisco at night. It was like, right. But I had my nephews and stuff. I had a fun time. It was a nice city. It was fine. Yeah. I go to LA. I enjoy it. Now I kind of treat LA like a rich kid thing. I only show up when women want me to go there and pay for stuff. But like when like women out of my league hit me up and go, "Hey, I'm coming in. Do you want to like take me out?" I'm like, "Okay, you're really hot, so I'll do it." But I go like, guys, I go to Venice Beach. You know any people like say anything? No. Like here's the thing. One of the things I actually want to talk to you about, like, we got to go to Rebels Raiders, but I tell everyone, like, do you know how much pushback I got for being in California about guns?
Dude,
never.
Reno Mays in California.
Right. Like every time I mention anyone I have into guns, know what they always ask for? What? To shoot them.
Yeah.
Everybody. Every single person.
It's almost like the vocal divides aren't really there. Like California has more gun owners in that state than most of other American states.
Yeah, like, I mean that's like a population adjustment too. But
it's mostly because of the huge population in the large rural areas. But at the same time, like people should stop judging entire areas as a monolith by a proportion of the politics.
And I understand why because people like the people who I actually have like an issue because the people who ask me about to go shoot guns and they love it and they go out and they'll shoot the Glock, I take them out and I train them. And I think I go, well, once they like do this, they'll be pro gun, and they're not, which is like, that bothers me sometimes, right? Usually it's a lot of women, sometimes for dates, but I take women out like to shoot and go like, well, if I get them into this, then they'll be more pro to it. And like, they're not. They just go out and buy a Glock and that's kind of it. Like just because they own a Glock, like, so just because you're like just because you own a gun doesn't really mean you're pro 2A, right?
Yeah, but I will say, to play devil's advocate, it is a start.
It did, right, correct. It is a start. Sometimes I wonder how I go like, okay, well, I got you in the Glocks now, and then I look around and go, now let me give you the real deal, and then I just show them Grand Thumb videos and go, now look at this, and then I go like, then when you're really ready, I got some print, shoot, repeat content for you, but let me know when you're ready for that. Right. And I or I have like a Teddy K, PDF on a thumb drive and go, okay, now when you go out and you get your first AR, come back to me. I'll give you this. Like you have to like kind of breadcrumb them into it. Right. The next thing you know, like they're beating me on social media and they're more pop at the influencer range day. And I have to be scared of them now. But my point was in reference to what you said about online, I go, when I go outside, like, for example, I've been on like 5 flights the last month, right? On the airplane. Not a single person got into a racist rant or fight on the airplane. I'm like, oh, because according to social media.
Been on a plane with me then.
Oh, okay, because that happened to you? Did that happen to you?
No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay, because I go, if you watch social media, right? Nobody actually flies anymore. They just go on racist tirades and get into fights on planes. Like no one actually flies on a plane, according to I
personally fly with a fold up Burger King crown just in case I ever have to.
Like if you watch Mr. Guns and Gear's feed long enough, you go, no one in this country is actually on an airplane to fly to the destination. They're just there to get into racist fights with each other. And I personally have yet to see it. Or like a gas station, right? I'm like, apparently 2 things happen at gas stations. 1, homeless attacked with like machetes, or 2, out and out Fallujah style gunfights at the gas pumps. Like that's the only social media content you see is like at a gas station and people just go full freaking Funker 530 at the pump. Like they're pulling out AKs and pistols and shit. I'm like, dude, I've been to many gas stations. I have never been into a firefight at a gas station. Like I have never once pulled out my Glock. What's that?
You're missing out.
Apparently on social media, everyone at all times is just rolling 30 mags deep with the strap and is just going at it at an Arco. I'm like, I don't know where this is happening because I've been to many Arcos and this has not happened to me. Like these, I do not run into fights or machetes with homeless people. Like, I don't know. Like even when I'm in LA and I go to these places, I hear about the news, like there was violence at this. I'm like, I was just there. I didn't see any of that. Like I was literally there.
Violence is ridiculously overreported, and that's been trending upwards for years and years and years and years and years. That being said, statistically, violent crime is rising, but that's kind of in proportion to.
I wonder, poverty. But I'm talking about like remember they make about the protests when they said like, oh, they'll just put a bunch of people in camera so it looks more than it is. Yeah. I mean, obviously I know this shit exists, but when I see it, I go like, no, guys, I was literally there. Like I'm where that camera was. Yeah. I didn't see that. I didn't see it. Sometimes I see like, I guess I see people, but I go, I was on fucking Sunset. Yeah. I didn't see what the fuck these people were reporting. I was there. Didn't see it. But anyways, I don't know. But all right, we had to go into, I guess we have to talk about Cannae Pro Gear and Rebels Raiders a little bit. Cause I guess, do people want to know about that? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's the whole.
That's the whole.
I find it very interesting, and I'm sure other people will too. So yes, you should.
Long story short, Cannae Pro Gear is which is also everyone at the range day knew exactly what Cannae Pro Gear was, but only most knew Rebels Raiders, which always made me mad. But anyways, Cannae Pro Gear was a tactical gear manufacturer, mostly backpacks. Basically, if anyone who does not know, most people should. It was an aspiring 511 style brand. And I got hired off Craigslist to do the warehouse.
That's fucking hilarious.
And it was brand new. It was a brand new company. So I got hired off Craigslist to do the warehouse, right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's literally the story. I walked in and I actually failed at the interview that I was going for. I actually applied to be like an account manager. They wanted someone to handle dealer accounts. And I applied for that. And then I guess because I'm an Eagle Scout, my Marine Corps background, I just got my Taekwondo black belt. So I like kind of mentioned all that. And they're like, oh, this guy's pretty good to go. So yes, I am Dwight Schrute. And I do mention my martial arts background in a job interview. It helps. But so then they hired me and said, well, we'll find a spot for you. Want you to do the warehouse. So I said, okay, do the warehouse. And then within about a year, they said, why don't you do the social media? Because I got hired in 2016. Do the social media. And the social media, I had pushed some stuff, and it was boring though. It was all I hate if anyone's listening to it, but I go, it's like 511 shit. It's just like good looking people staring off into the Grand Canyon. Who gives a shit? Who cares?
Yes, they all look like they have guns on them.
Right. Like, okay, great. You're good looking and you're staring off into a canyon. Oh my God. The Toyota 4Runner. Okay, great. And then I started posting memes. And then more importantly, I started actually using memes as ads, like literal paid ads for Cannae.
Yeah.
And then like everybody else, the great lockdown happened and those ads were front and center. And that's really where Cannae took off as far as like being in front of everybody, like everyone finding out like what the hell's going on, because I'm running these sick Facebook ads. I have no sleep schedule. So I'm responding to every comment, as I still do. And I respond to every DM, and I ran all the social media, all the warehouse, everything.
I have no idea how the hell you managed to reply to every DM. I still can't do that. I try my fucking best.
I do. I can't anymore. I'm a little bit bigger now, so I can't do it anymore. But at the time, I was able to do it because I was just on top of it like a freak.
Yeah.
I wish I could get back to that level, but it's too many now. I just can't. It's just like there's like thousands of them like right now. I'm like, okay, I can't freaking do it. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I ran everything. And I think that's what helped Cannae out the longest was the fact that social media and fulfillment were together. So I would be like, oh, here's a problem, go to fulfillment, fix it. And I had complete control. The only thing I did not have control over was the money and like the management decisions. Although I had an unsizable amount of power for just an employee.
Yeah.
More or less, I was the brand, which I think it's safe to say that out loud, right? My style, my stuff, I did the product design. I was the brand. That was kind of it. Then in 2022, they go, hey, we didn't make as much money as we thought. The investors are pulling out. That's it. Over. I didn't even know. I should have guessed. I didn't even know that. I should have guessed it, but I was just so ready. I was always under
the impression you guys were doing pretty well because that stuff sold well. And
I was always under the impression that we were doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And I was the guy like run the show. And
could it be like money mismanagement or
100% on the top end? Yeah. Even if they hear this, I don't care. The last call I got really pissed me off. So yeah, 100% money mismanagement on the top end. 100%. Now, could my marketing, which I need to work on, and it's already affecting me a little bit right now, could my marketing have rung the cash register a little bit more? Oh, absolutely. 100%. Sure. But the end result is the fact that it was mismanaged from the top 100%. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Lack of vision, lack of product, no real care for the industry on the leadership part. 100%. Yeah. So anyways, the company closed down. And then for a year, I just did odd jobs, looking around, doing stuff, freaking working for my friend. Made some good money, made some decent money, but it was just nothing for like literally a year, and being frustrated because every time you apply to a job for a marketing job, you go, well, I was a marketing director. You go, what was your last company? Like, well, it closed. You're like, well, you're not a great marketing director now, are you? But anyways, with that being said, I'm still friendly with a former boss, and he was just talking to me, and he just goes, yeah, we have he didn't say container. I'm going to say container for brevity's sake, but he goes, yeah, we have a container. And I'm like, container of what? He's like, of Cannae gear, like 1,000 Legions, Sarkinas, Optios, Celeritas. I go, what the fuck? What What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, we have a whole container full of them. I'm like, how do you have, what? And then he was like, yeah. And I'm like, well, fuck it. I'll buy it. And he's like, no, you won't. I'm like, no, I'll fucking buy it. So then which right now he offered me offer. It just gave me an offer I could not refuse on the inventory. And I said, fine, fuck it. And basically the amount of money that he had, I had thrown what he said when I bought it. I said, okay, well, I have to buy the social media assets too. Usually I'm against kind of buying social media, but I built the accounts anyways. So it's not like I
so you're buying back the IP rights to your work.
Yes. Right. Like Taylor Swift in it. Right. Yeah. So, it was like, okay, great. And I mean, it was all there. I tried to buy the Cannae name. They just wouldn't give it to me. I don't know why. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm buying the social media. I'm buying the last of the gear. You yourself are admitting that once this gear is gone, Cannae ain't coming back as far as the name. So I'm like, what? And I'm going to use the same fucking factory as before. So what the fuck are you like? What are you holding on to Cannae for? What are you gonna do with it? It's not like it's Nike here, right? And they just wouldn't sell it to me. I don't know why. They just wouldn't. So I took, and the amount of money by just happenstance coincide with the amount of money I had in my life savings. So I literally took a cashier's check and I sent it to my former boss, sight unseen, and I YOLO'd my entire life savings into the container at for Rebels Raiders.
I really respect that.
That was it. And by the way, when I say I'm the meme lord of tactical Instagram, I mean it, because I literally spent my life savings, which is whatever. I'll tell everyone. Well, actually, I won't say the number. Should I say the number? Am I allowed to say the number? Is it good to say that?
Dude, that's totally your call. This is entirely what you want.
It was tens of thousands of dollars. I'll just say that. Right?
There's a lot of fucking gear. Not surprising me at all.
Yeah, it wasn't 100K. But it wasn't not 100K either. So I wouldn't say it wasn't far away from 100K. I'll say that. It wasn't, when I say it was not 100K, but it wasn't far away from 100K. And I just YOLO'd all my life savings. Now, the reason why I had that life savings, honestly, is two things. One, I've rented a room for my parents forever, way too long, and I don't even want to admit it because I'm embarrassed, but I'm very grateful for their generosity of allowing me to basically just rent a room from them. I do pay rent, so I'm not a complete piece of shit. But it's the generosity from my parents that allow me to basically have cheap rent almost my entire life. So I'm always going to give a specific shout out to them and that
you
ability.
Managed to afford 100K. Again, I'm rounding up.
Close to it.
And it paid off.
Yes. Now, the reason why I say that is the reason why I mentioned my parents saying you can just rent a room from us for ever. I haven't always rented a room from them, but for a long time I have. And it allowed me to save all my money. And also on top of which I literally don't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't spend my money on anything, which is why I had such a decent chunk of savings. And I spent it all on Rebels Raiders. And
I understand that so much. I remember when I got my nods, it was dude, how do you have money? What? I wish I could afford that, from people who made more money than me. It's no, I'm just boring. I'm just fucking boring.
No one understands that. People think they want to be oh, I just like staying in. I go, no, you don't, because you go outside. I don't go outside unless it's to work out. That's it. I don't outside, do anything.
But outside is free. I do not, on the other hand, buy alcohol at bars or, eat out very much or, get coffee at Starbucks very much or anything like that. Therefore, money accumulates, and I bought night vision.
Yes,
it's so. You just have to restack your priorities.
Exactly that, but Rebels Raiders. Exactly that, but I don't buy anything. The only thing I splurge on is usually other people and again, out of my league women, because I just splurge because I just want them around. But that was it. Then I YOLO'd my life savings in Rebels Raiders. And to be honest, not to sound cool in the sense of when I did it, I didn't feel anything. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, great. Sure. I didn't get nervous. I slept fine that night. I slept fine the next night. I didn't get nervous or anything. And then I hooked up with a 3PL here in Temecula. They haven't been the best, but it's 3PL? Fine for they do a warehouse in a box. They do all the warehouse. They do everything.
Yes.
To everyone knowing, I never, since I bought that container, only reason why I even have any gear in my house is because a few people did some returns, 3 people. Yeah. I've never seen the gear. Never seen it.
Holy shit.
I bought it, sight unseen, bought it, and then it got delivered to my 3PL. My 3PL is near where I live, but it's just a warehouse, and I haven't visited them. I have never seen the gear. Now, that's not really that true in the sense that I know what the gear is because I used to work at Cannae, right? So I know what it is. I've seen it before, so it's I know it's not like I don't know what it is, but the specific gear that's there, Never seen it. Never touched it. I haven't touched a package. I've only touched 3 packages, and that's because they're the ones that are returns for me.
Yeah.
And only one of them is because of that. One of them just wanted to do international order, so I got to figure it out for him. But anyways, point is, yeah, there's a 3PL who I hook up who does all the shipping. He's fucked up a bunch of orders, which in my opinion are unforgivable, but I'll get into that later. But anyways, yeah, and then I don't think anyone knows this. I did a pre-sale on a Halloween to see how it went. It was going pretty well. Officially started Courier 6 Designs, which is the company name for Fallout New Vegas fans.
Yeah.
Which is the brand name is Rebels Raiders, but the company is called Courier 6 Designs. That's the name of the company. So I did that way, that way I can get more brands and get more people involved if they want to do more collaborations with me. So anyways, Rebels Raiders is just a brand, kind of like, how Google is owned by Alphabet Inc.
Yeah.
But I grabbed the mailing list from Cannae, got the MailChimp account, and then on November 1st, if you watch the video, I'm even in my business casual, I was at work in the manager's meeting when I launched Rebels Raiders. I actually did the opening email in the manager's meeting while everyone was talking. I had no pre-plan, nothing. I just done a few 2 or 3 social media posts the day before, and then I launched Rebels Raiders at work during the manager's meeting. I just did an email. And then I made $100K in 24 hours.
Jeez, man, that is. At this point, do you have any inventory left, or?
Yes, I have plenty of inventory left. I have a lot. Not a lot. So
you still made your investment back.
Oh yeah, I'm making money now. I made my investment back in an hour and a half.
Yeah,
I made all my money back in an hour and a half. And 24 hours, I doubled it. Right. So, with that, yeah, and so I start off with 30 pallets. I'm down to about 5.
Jeez.
Yeah,
man.
And I did that all throughout the month of November.
That is really impressive, actually.
Thank you. I don't think so. Like, I don't view it that way. I really don't.
I mean, like, what objective measure can you think? Like,
I wish I was sold out by now, to be honest.
In an hour and a half, and God, you have a sixth of your inventory left after just a couple of weeks. I think like a lot of larger brands, like brands that you and I have heard about, would be quite envious of your success.
Or they do a better job of. One of the things that frustrates me, and I know I have to learn to celebrate W's a lot more.
Yes, you do.
I do, because I don't post about it. I get like melancholy about it. One of the things is that all my stuff is like hyper reliant on virality. Like, as of today, by the way, just so I'm telling you, because I'm looking at it, I'm only 3K behind my Black Friday sale.
Like, how do you mean? Sorry,
in total sales for today.
Oh, geez.
I'm only $3,000, and that's because I launched my mystery box today, right?
Yeah.
If I had done it earlier, I would probably be a little bit higher, and I'll probably make it up in the morning because people are going to wake up and see it. And then on top of which, the memes that I did for it didn't go viral like the Black Friday one did, because I did a Kyle Rittenhouse meme, which is fucking hilarious. But yeah, like right now, I'm only 3K behind my Black Friday sale. My which was my second highest day of sales, right? Because the first day is kind of hard to beat. But yeah, I'm only 3K behind what I sold on Black Friday, and my prices are higher.
Yeah.
Or similar. Well, but the mystery box is pretty cool. But I'm getting that's the story. That's it. Like, I'm the guy. I got laid off from my previous company, and I just said, like, no, I'm bringing it back. Now, do I want to continue with this? The answer is maybe. Because it's hard, man. It's hard to think of content. Like, the last month, like when November was done, is like a switch flipped. There's not a lot of issue. And then on top of which, I love the GOAT gang. I just have a hardcore grouping of followers. But I do need to grow. Like, I need to grow. And that's when people go, well, just be yourself. And I go, I don't know if being yourself gets more people into it. I don't know.
I guess. Like, I don't know. I find your sense of humor fairly genuine.
Oh, thank you. I try to be funny. I don't know how funny I've been on this podcast, but
I've enjoyed it. Like, this has been a spirited conversation the entire time. I do think that you are an interesting person, but I don't think it has to be forced necessarily.
Well, thank you. I try to be fun. I try to be entertaining. I'm just going like, I mean, at the end of it, I will admit to everyone, and this is why I probably shouldn't, right? Like, I wish I could just walk on here and be like, what I really want to do is I want to cause a little bit of controversy, but I wish I can go on here and just go, the goal of Rebels Raiders is to blank, 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 right? And I go, really, for Rebels Raiders, I just go, I keep trying to find that North Star, because I go, well, I want to make affordable tactical gear for everyone. It's like, yeah, but you know who says that? Kind of everybody. Like, everyone says they want to make affordable gear for everyone. They want to make gear that people can get. That's kind of the point, right? Because if it wasn't affordable, guess what? They couldn't sell it. So it has to be affordable.
I mean, I don't know. I don't exactly see that in like First Spear's operating like.
I guess you're right. I'm probably wrong. Like, but I mean, like Condor exists, right?
Condor, and there's some companies that do some good stuff, like what Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, like WTF, like their plate carrier is pretty good, and they make some affordable gear, but
right, like
there's a lot of crap there.
There's a lot of crap.
Yes,
but what makes Rebels Raiders like different than like I don't know. Besides the fact that people want to buy because it's you, like they just go, oh, I like what Rebels. Yes. I like Rebel SMG. Yeah, the gear I could get someplace else, or at the end of the day, I get a backpack. But I like Rebel SMG, so here you go. And that's
it's marketing 101. It's make people like you, and they'll buy your stuff naturally.
Right, and then that runs into issues when you have problems liking yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that there's a story. Like, and the next story is, I want this to work. I do. I'll admit I have extreme fatigue with the industry. I just do. Because like at the influencer meet or when people wake up, I honestly, guys, and I mean this to everyone, and I say this clearly, like, you should be able to go out and get gear, right? Both politically and culturally. You should be able to, and you should train with said gear, right?
Yes, 100%.
And on top of that, we should have a culture accepting of the first two.
Yes.
Honestly, though, I start to get lost when people just tell me this PEC 15 is like, hey, this isn't just for fun. I do get lost, man. I have to admit it. I go, guys, you sure you don't want to run a mile? You know, you sure that having the custom Glock and the quad nods and the helmet is not more important than knowing how to dig your truck out of the mud? You sure?
Yes. I will admit, like, in fact, it's something that bothers me. There's a big fashion aspect to this world.
Right.
But I think there's a big fashion aspect to any world, especially, and I've called it out before, like the stereotypically masculine hobbies, like cars, like fancy watches, fucking model trains, like all of those things. There's this weird, you get a certain level into it, and it's immediately a fashion show and a dick measuring contest.
And we've talked about that with the plate carriers, right? Like I've often thought, I go, maybe the problem with the Vicarian is that it's actually doing its job. And maybe the real thing about plate carriers is because very few people have worn the plate carrier and taken around, right? I go, maybe the real point of a plate carrier is just to be talked about endlessly for 9 hours, right?
I mean, like, I will say that it's a smaller proportion of the community, but I've met a lot of people out here who are in it for the right reasons, and I'd like to think of myself like kind of equal measures. Like I'm doing this seriously, like actually, but I'm mostly doing it because I enjoy it.
There's a good one. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I think people have to be honest with themselves about like what they expect, but at the same time, I don't think that there's anything wrong with like preparing for, you know, any situation, like quote unquote. But I do think like people really get lost in the whole, oh well,
that's where I go,
5 or 18-inch, do I get my extra 16% of dwell time? Like, well, like 6.5 Grendel is better ballistically and it will hit with more mass, and I can use 123 grain projectiles. Like all of that shit just fucking, it makes me want to
tickle
myself. It does.
See, that's where I'm at. So that's my question. At the industry writ large,
yes.
are we at the, hey, we're just prepping phase, or are we at the fetish phase?
I think it can be both, and it can be more. I don't think that the industry would exist if it wasn't for both of those.
Yes.
And people who are honest with themselves and, you know, just get things because they enjoy it. And then people who prepare because they enjoy it and shoot because they enjoy it, or any more, or, you know, make it a fetish, or
See, therein lies the Overton window of when you go, which you can absolutely just hoard gear because you enjoy it, right? Absolutely, yes. You can go and hoard gear because you enjoy it, and I encourage you to do so.
Yes.
I go, but then that becomes the Overton window in which stuff is discussed, and I go like, what the fuck are we talking about? I'm like, what? 500-meter shots on what? Like what? Like we're engaging 500 meters? Really? Where?
Like
who? For what? Like but then that's what I'm saying when I hear like that.
I like one of the things that I thought about a little while ago, and like throw all of the justifications out the window. I like being a really lethal individual, and I don't know why. I can't justify it. I just think it's fucking cool. It's because maybe I watched too many action movies growing up. Like, I can make all kinds of justifications for, like, what if X scenario and Y scenario, and, like, this collapse and so, and, like, there's someone on the edge of my property, or I have to go save my neighbor, and, you know, they live a few kilometers away, and we are living in without rule of law land, and shit has hit the fan, and there's zombies. Like, I'm not going to make any of those justifications because I fucking enjoy it, and that's all you really need. And I don't think anyone's owed an explanation.
Okay.
But I do think, like, when people start arguing over, like, yes, I need this because I'm going to go fight the fucking Tyranids, or like I'm going to go kill
Warhammer reference.
Yes, esoteric,
yes,
40K yes, reference, a game that I do not play. BR is really.
I don't think anyone actually plays 40K, by the way.
No, I just enjoy the lore, and I think that's most.
Everyone enjoys the lore. By the way, the lore. You're not going to find a more mixed match game on lore versus game than 40K. Because like the lore is like, oh God, and like epic, but the match is like, shit, I can't move. I had a roll. I keep getting a shit roll. Like the game actually and the lore like are completely opposite. Like it's you can have like a 3-hour 40K game that nothing happens. Like literally nothing happens.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're totally okay. What were we talking about a second ago?
We were talking about like I have like maybe because I only see it like the Overton window, because you were discussing that. Well, I don't think I need justification. I just do it because I enjoy it. But how many people just straight up say that? How many people just go?
I think that it betrays a fundamental insecurity, though. I do think that's like people who care too much what other people think about it, and like you can have justifications in your head, that's cool, but it's when you're caring what other people think about it and arguing online to defend your point, where it's like, okay, calm down, like this doesn't
because really that's what I want to do, like the Vulcarian, right? Because my idea is I'm like, I like plate carriers, I want you to have a plate carrier, talk about it for 9 hours, have fun. I go, but I want you to spend $130. I want you to get the plate carrier, I want you to have plates, I want you to go train, and I want you to be ready. I'm like, my entire thing is get off Instagram and get to the range, right?
Yes.
Or maybe I'm like, or get like, I'm like, hey, maybe 18 versus 16-inch barrel length isn't the greatest thing when your daughter's on OnlyFans. Like maybe, like maybe ask about that. But then I guess you can say, well, I guess you could look at it and go, well, those are not mutually exclusive. But this is the point, right? This is where I go, well, they're not mutually exclusive, right? What makes you think that because I'm talking about plate carriers means that this, so that's not true either. But again, this is where everyone in the audience gets confused. This is where I wish I could just go full Lucas, and just go like, no, I am right.
I mean, you can. Right. There's nothing like I sometimes I do get kind of like I've always had a pretty like a publicly, like, it doesn't fucking matter viewpoint, but sometimes I do want to just be like, no, you're wrong, shut the fuck up, retard. Very rarely. And I don't want to say
I gotta do more of that. I gotta do more of that. I gotta do more of just being like, no, you are wrong.
You are right. Wrong. You gotta get a 20-inch running 77 grain match load, Black Hills, whatever. Otherwise, you're wrong and you're retarded, and you'll die when the Necrons come. My
entire point is, all I'm throwing out there is, hey guys, get your gear, train with it, have fun with it, go out there, fucking go. I'm just saying, being a more well-rounded individual makes getting that gear out there a lot more. right?
Yeah.
Don't be Mr. Goon who gets stuck in the mud. And he goes, "Oh, I brought all 15 different flashlights for my YouTube video, but I did forget how to use and to bring a shovel."
Yes, I did. I
That's
don't
all
have.
I'm saying. I'm saying.
It's funny, like not to dunk on whoever they are. It's funny when the trunk of my Prius has more things to get me out of a hole.
And I hope he takes it from a teaching moment. I don't want to be a dick because I'm not mentioning his names. I'm not making fun of him. I am saying
Like, I hope it was a learning experience for everyone involved.
right. Like if you found out that like Rebel died of malnutrition,
yeah,
you'd be like, well, Rebel SMG, you're kind of the goat guy. Maybe you shouldn't have let that happen. Right? Like maybe, goat can pass away, obviously, but you go, maybe Rebel shouldn't have died of malnutrition because I don't know, you're the goat guy. You're supposed to kind of know that.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're, I want to make sure because I don't say it any judgmental way. I just go like, guys, like run a mile. That's good.
Yes.
Because 20% of Americans die of heart disease. I'm unaware of any statistics of people dying because they choose Condor over Spiritus. I'm unaware of that statistic. I'm unaware of it. Maybe it exists somewhere. Maybe someone was just on the floor going, if only I had that fucking Spiritus fucking new placard. If only I had the Mark III, I would have made it. But these motherfuckers gave me a fucking Condor Mop C, and was it the Mop C? What's it called? Whatever.
I don't know.
Maybe there's someone out there bleeding out on the floor going, I had a Condor Strike 3 or whatever the hell Condor calls their shit, and goes, but if I had that Mark II from Spiritus, I would have won. And then he dies, right? Maybe that guy exists, but I assure you there's far less of those guys than people who are just shoving down burgers and dying of heart disease. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, hey.
It is the leading killer in America.
It is the leading killer in America. Not
after this call, I'm not kidding. It is, what time is it here? It's 10:55. I'm going to the gym at 11.
No, my gym is closed. But
I'm going to admit I'm very lame. My gym's 24 hours, and like I go at weird hours, and I just go in the stair climber and my plate carrier.
Well, that's good for everyone listening. Go out there and get your ARs, dude. You don't let anyone say that you're fucking LARPing. Fuck that. You want to be a lethal individual, train to be a lethal individual. You want to shoot to 500 meters. Like I said, sometimes I think I go, hey, okay, great. I seems a little bit of a distance for me to train, like to be really focused on. I go, I don't know if you're ever going to shoot that far, but hey.
That's kind of the thing I like though. Like if you can shoot, like I like shooting my pistol at like 40, 50 yards. Am I going to be really good at it? No, but the better I get at that, the easier it is to get up close.
By all means, knock yourself out. Please go buy plate carriers. Buy so much goddamn gear that your wife divorces you, right? Watch so much GunTube that Grand Thumb literally calls you personally and says, hey, are you okay? I really would wish you could turn it off. Like do that, right? Like literally watch so much YouTube that YouTube contacts Grand Thumb, and then you get a visit from Micah Mayfield saying, we're just checking in on you because you've been inside for a long time, right? Do that. In between all that happening, I'm just telling everyone, hey, man, please just go like outside and run. Like go outside and run. Like, get that. I had the Minuteman fitness test. I have 2 miles in 16 minutes, 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, 10 pull-ups, and a 300-meter sprint in 69 seconds. All of those things that the reason why I have a baseline standard is I put that baseline standard. Go ahead.
Send that to me right after this over text if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm going to do that today just to, I don't know, prove a point. And by that point, I don't know what the point would be. I just want people to do it with me. And I feel like if anyone's listening to this, they're more likely to do it if I've suffered tonight.
Yeah, well, and I do that test every week, and I have it on the Rebels Raiders Instagram, where I do the Minuteman fitness test every week. And I do that because I want that to be a key piece in the Second Amendment. It's for defense against tyranny, right?
Yes.
And unlike a lot of other areas that dominate social media, one of the things is that actually the Second Amendment requires a lot of other stuff for it to be applicable.
Yes.
If I want to hang out in Overland Instagram, which is cool guy trucks, all I need is a truck. You don't need anything. You don't need anything, right? If I wanted to hang out in whatever, where I'm trying to figure out nothing else, in fitness Instagram, all you need is fitness. You don't need anything else, right? If I want to hang out on shooting Instagram, I can be a good shot. I can just shoot. Any fat ass can shoot. But if you want to hang over in the 2A Instagram, I go, well, that requires a much more well-rounded approach. Because in order to apply that Second Amendment and its principles, right, the rugged individualism, the actual defense against tyranny, and the ability to use those principles to build a better life, fitness, ability to take care of yourself, individual, is outside of the realm of just how many parts of a Glock that I have.
Yes.
Case in point, some goon guy getting stuck in the snow. Right? Like, I don't mean to shit on him. In a tundra. I don't mean to shit on him. I don't, but I am saying there is some level of irony to that.
Example.
Yeah, there is irony to that, right? There is irony. All right. There is something to be said. Like, you know, I mean, I don't want to bring it up again. I don't want to bring another name, but I am saying I don't want to bring it up. I'm not gonna. I thought I was trying to be. I'm telling everyone, like I said, get all the guns, get all the gear, have 50 ARs, have 50 plate carriers, and debate them until literally your family has to pull an intervention on you. And then when your family does the intervention, you don't see them as members, but you see them as different pieces of kit that you keep trying to configure. Get that level of addicted. It'll be great. Like, refer to your mother as a brand name. When she goes like, you have a problem, you go, no, I don't, Kiwi Placard 762. The issue is you just don't fit SCAR heavy mags as well as I thought. Like, say shit like that, right? I'm just going, guys, like, come, like, just, I'm like, hey man, that 16-inch barrel AR will do it. I promise you. Just get that mile time in there. Get the mile time in there. And if you approach it as a well-rounded way, I assure you, you'll be much better at it. That's all I say. I just say, like, I want to prevent Mr. Goon from getting stuck in the mud. I want to do that.
Also, just like mental health. People forget about the mental health aspect of just being fit, and it helps so much. So fucking much. You're just like a much happier individual if you get out and you go for a run every once in a while. And I realize it's winter and it can be kind of hard to do that, but still, like, just try.
I agree. And now the next part, I had something like funny, and here's what I wanted to ask, and I'm going to get a little political.
No, go ahead. You know,
I get very confused. Well, I get very confused as to what people want in the industry. Let me give an example, right? I go, Ukraine.
Yes.
Okay. Very popular in the very beginning. That died out immediately. You had several pro, like, Ukrainian style, like, comics in the very beginning.
Yes.
Like the Ghost of Kiev.
I think one. We had the Ghost of Kiev thing.
Yeah.
I can't remember. That was Mitch's idea.
And I go, well, I get that.
Neat, but like, I will absolutely admit, like getting swept up in it for like a couple days and then being like, oh, this is dumb.
But everybody did. But then I go, but I'm talking about everyone. I'm trying to be funny because I went serious about talking about fitness and it's applicable. I'm trying to be funny. So everyone relax. I'm just trying to be funny. Okay.
Yes.
But I go, here's the thing. Because I heard something in the tattoo industry. Actually, I heard they go, well, why are we sending money over there? We should be spending it here. I said, well, that sounds like socialism to me. If you talk about spending money here, right? I go, but let's put that to the side. I go, listen, guys, you're going to get taxed no matter what. I understand that BR just literally fell out of his chair dead when I said that. I understand what that just happened. I don't agree with that. Correct. The option should not be that you should be taxed. Agreed. But like many things, right? I want to have sex with Scarlett Johansson. That's not happening anytime soon. I have to accept that. Should that be true? No, of course not. I deserve a 10 out of 10. No, that's not true. I'm not saying. Scarlett, I know you're listening. Relax. It's a joke. What I'm saying is, when someone in the tactical industry said that, like, we should be spending the money here on Americans. I go, but what do you mean? You hate all those programs. So what do you want to spend the money on? And I go, guys, the one thing I always ask people to do is I go, weigh the alternatives. Either A, Ukraine, or basically in this case, I guess Hamas does, because we saw all of our guns go to them. I go, either new M4s get built, right? And they go to a foreign country, the guns that you would be in trouble for owning, right? But I go, either new guns get built and they go to a foreign country, or more money goes to gender queer theory in Pakistan. Okay. You have to choose one of them. I'm not saying that's the best choice. I'm not saying I prefer that choice. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just going, listen, at the end of the day, I guess more guns being built is not a bad thing. So I go, well, let the money go to Ukraine, I guess. At least it's going to something cool. I mean, because if they spend it here, it'll just go to whatever.
Gay shit.
Yeah, it's something. No, quite literally something gay. Like hey, we went down the West Coast and painted all the we painted cocks on all the life towers. It's like, okay, well that was great. I'm glad that happened.
Yeah.
Right. So the reason I'm trying to be funny, but I just go like sometimes when I hear like political things, I go, what does everybody like want exactly? I don't know. Because, for example, Brendan Herrera is running for Congress. Does that mean I need guns to defend myself from Brandon Herrera?
I think you always needed guns to defend yourself against Brendan Herrera. He's outside right now. You realize that.
And it's true, but he's running for a federal position, which means Brendan Herrera is stealing money from me to pay his salary. He's running for a federal position, right? Which means my taxes go to his salary eventually. So I go, wait a minute, Brandon Herrera is stealing from me? He is. He's stealing from me. Listen, I already tried to buy his AK that didn't get shipped. Oh, that was a callback. I'm joking. I'm just joking, right? I remember that. Was it Lee Armory, right? Like the Lee Armory, and then he had his name on it or something. I don't know. I hear things. I don't know what's going on.
I'm making no idea, dude. I am the least online person.
But I am correct, right? Because if Brandon Herrera runs for Congress and wins, he is stealing our money to pay himself. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. I think the only solution to that is tax evasion.
Right. Again, by the way, I'm actually I'm pro Brandon Herrera running because we need representatives. But I do think it's funny to be like, well, we need guns to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. I go, what are you? Well, I'm part of the tyrannical government. I go, okay, well, I kind of need to defend myself from you, don't I? Like, isn't it you? Isn't it you now? Right?
Like, I do think like it takes a very based individual to get up on stage, and we've had I loathe the political process and most politicians, but I do respect the hell out of any politician that says, yes, you need these things and you need to train in so and so to tickle me in case I become a tyrant.
By the way, everyone, I agree with that. I'm just making fun. I agree with what you're saying.
I wasn't even calling you out specifically, and I don't think Brendan has said that directly, but someone has in the last few years, and I really liked it when they did. But I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Thomas Massey. Maybe it was.
Said what?
Like the Second Amendment is for deposing tyrants, and that includes me, to paraphrase heavily.
Can you imagine the Brandon Herrera tyranny? like you just I
pay for AKs, but for everyone.
But we all just walk out, and then we have to have our White Claws, right?
Basically.
And then just a bunch of Khal Drogo looking cops like come out, and they just walk up and be like, meme review, which is just like code word for beating the living shit out of you on the street.
I will say I have not really had White Claws since getting here. I've changed into Truly, man. I quite like them.
I just drink energy drinks. That's what I drink. I do.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever? I've always wondered do you think? Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What does gun tuber government look like? I've always wondered that.
You're asking someone who has watched about as much GunTube in the last 6 months as I've spent doing calculus.
Like, if Mr. Guns and Gear was king of Oklahoma, what does that look like?
I don't know. He's a nice guy, but I can't say I've ever actually watched Mr. Guns and Gear. He's literally been on the show, and I haven't watched Mr. Guns and Gear.
It's just like the monarchy of Oklahoma, or the monarchy of Missouri, like that. And it's just like, this is guns. Like, what if we go so full?
But I think I would pay taxes towards just making that reality happen.
I just love the idea of like because it's all just Reddit tier horseshit anyways.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm choosing GunTube because I know you guys are like know about it, but I'm making a fun thing. I've always been like, I want to know, like, people on Twitter go like, accelerate. I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. You guys all live in a cul-de-sac. Come on, like, relax. But I keep going like, accelerate. And I'm like, yeah, what does Ann Capistan look like? Like, you're just like, I don't even know what that, like, I love the idea of that, like the Reddit fantasy comes to life, right? And like your kid gets shot in like line at a park because you have to pay a quarter to see a tree, right? And you're like, no, oh, young Peter Thiel, like, no. And he's like, daddy, taxation is theft, and he dies. Like that level. That's what I want to know.
That's so fucking funny.
Well, that's what I want to know. Like I want to know that I want like, is anyone else terrified of like riots of Gen Z hustlers? Like that terrifies me, right?
Like
can
all,
you imagine
all the kids with the broccoli hair get together and they're all
and
on TikTok and riding through the streets.
Yeah, they're just in their pro club t-shirts beating the shit out of people looking for job applications as marketing directors. That's all they're doing.
For real.
That sounds bussin'. Like, can you imagine we've heard Black Lives Matter and we know what they do. They just kind of destroy the local Nike shop or whatever. But you go, well, that's what they did. That's what it was. That's what they did. Like, I'm not like making, that's what they did. Like, that's what happened. Like, they just raided the local fucking Nike store. Like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Right. But you go like, if you imagine just an entire riot of hype beasts, just going hustle, grind. What do we want? Hustle. When do we need it? Grind. And they just run around with their supreme crowbars, beating the living shit out of you if you don't have 18 different side hustles.
Dude.
Like, can you imagine that? Can you imagine them all, like all those kids at the gym who do one deadlift and then literally have a conniption in their Crocs, right? Can you imagine that kid and all of his friends walking to like, how many side hustles do you have? And you're like, I have a podcast. Like, good. You're like, what about passive income with VAs? You're like, I have a t-shirt website. And they go, not good enough. And then they just like throw you on a tree and hang you upside down. And they're just like, what are the 4 tenets of hustle? Like, I don't know. And like, they just like Gary V. Like, they just like fucking like just have, they just let the algorithm go to their heads. They just beat the living shit out of you because you have a W-2. Can you imagine that?
And this is why you should carry 30-round magazines.
This is why you should carry 5.7 at all times, right? 23 rounds in the pistol, okay? Then you should have a market team with a DMAG 60, and it's not just for tyranny, but it's for the tyranny of the Supreme, okay? And by that I mean literal kids wearing Supreme. What? Literal children who just want jobs as influencers beating the shit out of you, like, in it. Because I know what everybody wants. Everybody wants to defend their farm, and they want to defend their farm from like the urban hordes. They're not going to come like that. They're going to come to your farm with like resumes, and they're just going to keep popping up like children of the corn. There's going to be like one like
cold call you about marketing positions.
Yeah, and then they're just going to show up and surround your house in mass in their Pro Club t-shirts going, buy Bitcoin. Go, you'll never get me to buy Bitcoin, motherfuckers. And you're just shooting them from your fucking country home, right? And then that's it.
I hate how real this is. Like this is a satirical conversation, but I hate how many people I know of that generation who are kind of like edging in that culture. Like that is, dude, weirdly
the hustle culture is without a doubt one of the funniest ones. It's like tactical industry does not hold a candle to that. Like, does not hold a candle to, like, you know, having 19 different companies in your name and you're 17 years old.
17 years old. You sleep 40 minutes every night. You wake up, you take a cold shower at 4 a.m. You go on a 3-mile run, and then you do 5,000 push-ups.
Yes, and I love it because speaking of which, by the way, everyone listening, this is no longer a tactical podcast. This is now just a Bitcoin and carnivore podcast. That's where we're going. We're going that direction now. Nathan, we're done. We're done. BR, change the intro. We're now all about crypto and carnivore. That's what we're doing for the next 9 hours.
Dude, I wish we managed to get that fellow on. What was his? The carnivore guy. What was his name?
Carnivore Aurelius?
No, not Carnivore Aurelius.
This is like a chick, right?
No, the Raw Meat Project.
The Liver King?
No. All of those. I absolutely do not want the Liver King on this fucking show. There's the guy who just like started eating raw meat one day, and he didn't die.
You probably won't die, but I like the idea that eating raw meat and Bitcoin intermix. I love that. Like, I eat nothing but raw meat. Really? Yes. I'm also super into decentralized currency. Did you know that the Rockefellers control everything? You're like, interesting. So you eat steak? Yes. But you're super into just crypto, huh? It's like, yeah. It's like they both start with this. Like, I love I love groups of people that seemingly have like nothing to do with it. Like, here's an example. Here's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
A beret.
A beret.
The physical garment, a beret. The physical garment, right? A hat. There are only two people in this world who wear berets. Badass special operations dudes and gay dudes who are super into like art.
And the French.
Why is that? Like, well, okay, again, gay dudes are super into art. The French. Why is that? Why? How come? Why is that? How come people who wear berets, like, how come I can't just wear a beret and out at town with my board shorts on and my T-shirt that I designed myself for $23 on Bonfire.com Rebels Raiders? But how? Why is that? Why isn't Lucas Bakken into surfing?
I don't know, but he should be.
He should be, right? Like, why is it that if you're super into guns, you're not into surfing either?
I think I've met surfers who are really into guns. So
have you? Because I want to know. Because I love the idea of hanging out in Malibu, but I never hang out in Malibu. But going to Malibu and meeting a guy named like Sunstar, like, hey, I'm Sunstar, and he's like 6'2", big, just jacked, like, cut, and he's like a bronze. He's basically Adonis.
Yeah.
And and I'm like, yeah, I have an AR at home. He goes, well, what kind of brand do you have AR? What I really prefer is a Geisley trigger, an actual Sig Sauer Tango MSR LPVO. And what I actually did find is, while I usually used to utilize 16-inch barrels, I actually like to use 18-inch barrels in kind of a recce build because, bro, when I like to use that rifle for hunting, but also I put on a collapsible stock so I can kind of collapse when I do some CQB work. And I'm kind of a big guy, so I kind of prefer it, right? He goes, I also, in order to minimize my loadout, I kind of just use Surefire muzzle adapters because when I go out of state, I'm a really big fan of Surefire's ability to clap on the RC2 in both 7.62 and 5.56 so I can save on the tax stamp. Like, I want a guy to say that to me in Malibu.
I would actually not be surprised if, like, I found really weird, like, the last people you'd think would be really into guns have been. And I maybe that's just because
like, just furries.
Been around, and there's like people kind of come to you when you have a dumb niche internet show that that a couple people listen to. But you would be surprised. I think I do think you'd be surprised at the diversity of the crowd who is into this. But I'm getting a very anecdotal small look at specifically people who listen to my dumbass talk about things. I would bet money that there's surfers in there.
Maybe I'm the one who keeps grouping people. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me who's like, you're Rebel. You're the one grouping everyone into groups, not us. I
think stereotypes exist for a reason, but there are outliers, and I do think like a lot of the healthier portions of this community, which I would like to think that a lot of like the people listening to this embody. Then maybe that's wishful thinking, but in my experience, it's been quite good. They come from all walks of life and all sorts of hobbies. And
I like that perspective.
Yeah,
I like that. I do.
Yeah, and
it's a very positive one.
Like, and it's not just me, obviously. Like, I can only thank the listeners and like the people I interact with for this. I'd like to think that it's a really healthy environment. Like a really all the meet and greets that we've held and everything. Everyone's been fucking cool. Like, everyone.
That's true. Everyone I meet is always very nice.
Yeah,
everyone.
I think like the internet makes you think that people are a lot more like turbo retarded and one-dimensional than they actually are. Whereas,
by the way, at that influencer meet, you're correct. I don't mean to interrupt you. Sorry, finish it. I want to say that because I want to back up your point.
Yeah.
When everyone on the internet, by the way, everyone on the internet who says like all the influencers who go, I'm like autistic, right? Everyone at that influencer meet, they're all good looking and very personable. I'm like dead serious because because if you're gonna make a video, if you're gonna make a living on camera, you're gonna have to have some looks, right? Because people want to look at you.
I guess so. But, like, this is why I've avoided the camera.
Dude, you trust everyone watching. I've seen Nathan; he's fucking good looking. I've even said like, "What are you doing talking about hand guards, dude? Go, you're very good looking."
You give me too much credit, far too much credit.
I think not enough, but. My point is, everyone there was like good looking. Like everyone was pretty good looking.
Influencer
like,
base.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, nobody here. Like, if anyone here has mental disorders, it's me by far, because I'm like, everyone here is good looking. Like, yeah, like, yeah, everyone, people probably are playing up a look a little bit, sure, but I'm like, dude, everyone here is freaking like good. No one's bad looking here. Like, not a single person I saw was like bad looking. But you know what I mean, what you gonna do? I like, this is why I like talking to you, because you get a better perspective of what's going on, and you get a better, like, you're like, hey, well, maybe you can look at this, as opposed to when you're terminally online a lot and you just get like, you're just getting bombarded with shit, then you come up with conclusions that might not be the best.
I think it's a jading experience being online all the time.
It is, and I have to learn to like step away from it, and I have to learn to, because no one says anything to me though. It's just sometimes I come to like conclusions myself about like what's going on, which is might not even be true.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I've tried to avoid that part of the community specifically because it is really jading. But like, I don't know, the manufactured anger. I think it's just too common in every world. Not to complain about that again, but I think the only way to really avoid it is just kind of extricate yourself from all of those arguments and all of those people just spouting it online until things blow over, or you can just navigate it well enough to avoid it. It's like,
you're correct. You really are. You're right, and I have to do a better job at that myself.
I mean, that's ultimately like it's for mental health. I think this applies to anyone who's listening.
No, you're right. I have like no retort to that, because I mean, when I say retort, not that it requires one. I'm just going like, no, he's correct. Like, you're given a good perspective of like, I like it, and you go, yeah. But of course, if you're hanging out and you're like and you're on like Twitter battles, and you just like, you just get caught up in it, and then you just take a step back from it.
Yeah, I don't go on Twitter for that reason. It's just everyone fucking fighting. I
actually get a good traction. That's why I'm on Twitter. I get good traction from my posts to go on the website. So
that's whatever.
Apparently it does well.
I just I don't have a Twitter for that reason. Lucas runs the Seaburn Twitter, and he's just goes full autismo on it. But it is entirely just for his weird esoteric shit posts.
Speaking of autism, did you ever notice how the social media apps all kind of degrade to that?
Like, how do you
all these social media apps kind of just end in like blood and like spectrum disorders?
Oh yeah.
Like TikTok was like a Chinese dance app, right? Yeah. Like called ByteDance, right? Wasn't that what it was called?
I don't know. I never had a TikTok, but I think it was initially that. Apparently, and this is anecdotal. I mean, not even anecdotal. This is just like internet rumor. Original TikTok was mostly, it was a Chinese dance app, but now that it's become more popular in China anyway, it mostly promotes like educational content and like self-betterment, whereas here it's all like,
well, I want to do a deep dive, and that's a conspiracy. That's not really a conspiracy. That is literally full on eagle eye Orwellian shit, and it's been proven that TikTok, they have a different algorithm here. Now, actually, right now, if you go on TikTok, they do have a STEM algorithm they put back on. They actually have like a STEM one that you can go over, which is just science, technology, engineering, and math, right?
Yeah.
But
sorry, that I don't know if you could hear that. That is the dog screaming.
No, I don't hear anything. But so yeah, the algorithm here in America is just based on like debauchery, essentially.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so bad.
In TikTok, they said that the Chinese company was able to target specific people via TikTok, like as in they knew your phone and they were sending you content and they were spying on you specifically.
I hate
right.
That's no.
And on top of which, we all know it's a psyop to get people to be like crazy, right? They put that algorithm in there. I call it the algorithmic circle jerk, right? Where the algorithm changes and then the content creator changes the content that they create, but then the algorithm then changes what it is. So then you like it more. So the algorithm kind of morphs you into that. And then it goes back to the next thing, right? Yeah. So it is a little bit of because they know Gary Vee goes, no, social media doesn't change you. It just amplifies it. I go, that's not true. That's not true at all. That's why they have like radicalization. Like, of course, if you already have some feelings, that social media can become a megaphone for that. Yeah. But of course, if you're like I said right there, where you took me out of it saying like, well, this is what I think. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Where you go,
and this is all like objective. So So
Well, yeah, it's. But I don't get to talk because, like I said, if you go rebel, if the other people you're talking to are just people arguing with you in your DMs, of course you're gonna come away with like where you go, well, I want to be this, or I just enjoy this, so of course you're gonna get like a different experience. But that goes to my point of where I go, dude, no, of course social media changes people because that's your exposure. This is all you're gonna get is this, right?
Yeah.
So when you view it that way, you go, yeah, like Gary Vee's like, no, it doesn't change you. It's just, I'm like, that's not true. It can absolutely like pop you up and it, be a megaphone for your shit. But on top of that, it also can fucking change you because all you're seeing is certain shit, right? And that algorithm can really incite whatever behavior it kind of wants at a certain point. But the point is, I had to think about TikTok, as I said, how it ends. I'm like, last I checked TikTok, it was nothing but like 20-year-old girls twerking, right? That's what it was. It was just a bunch of like good-looking young girls like in freaking LA mansions who are like 19 years old, like twerking. Like that's what it was, right? It was creepy, and I don't watch that for that exact reason because it's just creepy, right? I'm like, what am I watching? This is just bizarre and weird, and in my opinion, just morally reprehensible.
Yeah.
But I go on TikTok now, right? Like, like no one's twerking. It's all just Israel and Hamas. Like that's all it is. It's just like
so
death.
Weird.
It's just death and blood and like children screaming and bombs. I'm like, maybe Charli D'Amelio was like the good one of this. Like maybe we should
come back, people twerking.
Yeah, come back, Renegade. Like come back, 19-year-olds dancing to Renegade in Los Angeles. Like come back to that because, it's definitely Renegade now, but in the Renegade of like, I just watched someone get their hands tied and then get drilled in their shin bones. I'm like, what in the fuck am I watching on this? Like, this is fucking insane. Right? And then Instagram is even more like Instagram.
Violence, movies, and sex on TV. But where are those good old-fashioned values on which we used to rely?
Lucky is a family guy. Right, yeah. I just think I was just like, and then Facebook now is what? Psychopaths just shouting into the void.
Dude, I haven't used Facebook since like 2017.
Dude, I use it for work and it's the craziest fucking shit like you'll ever see on there. People go like, they go on the little town talks. They go like, I went to the gas station and you know who was looking? I'm like, oh, here comes something racist as shit, right?
Yeah.
Or what's that one app which is just racism, but for like that is the neighborhood app. Have you heard of that?
No.
Basically, the neighborhood app is essentially a closed app for like per neighborhood, right? And really, what we all know what you go on there and do. You go on there and talk about the kid who plays his music just a little too loud for your comfort. Like that's what it is. Like that's the whole app is just like you just basically narc on your neighbors. That's the entire app.
I didn't even know that existed. I hate that.
Yeah, it's called a neighborhood app, and I mean BR. I highly recommend you do not look it up because you're not going to enjoy it. You're just going to get angry. But it really is just a narc fest on your neighbors, and it's like, it's disturbing. And I just go like, it's like an offshoot of Facebook in the sense where you're just going to go on there and scream about how, how everything's fucked and how your town just ain't what it used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I don't know. I just go like, yeah, man, these social media platforms, like Instagram's like a fucking freak show, like mainstream Instagram. It's just aliens, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just women trying to be Kim Kardashian. The whole thing?
I have not looked at my Explore feed in a very long time.
I recommend you, like, dude, once you get outside of tactical, because I'm on tactical all the time, so it's like, as in my head is, I gotta like, I don't have eyebrows, so I keep picking them off my face because I can't handle the stress. Which makes me look weird.
Fact, I thought,
what's up?
It's kind of interesting fact. I thought I saw eyebrows on you, but...
No, I do have them, but I'm missing I go out and get microblading because that's where they show up on camera because they're literally tattooed on. The middle parts of my eyebrows are big chunks of gongs I pick at my face because I'm so unbelievably freaking nervous and like on edge where I because of Rebels, Raiders, and the job and like, trying to actually afford something in my fucking life.
Yeah.
I like literally am like freaking, I'm like a freaking nervous wreck half the time. Even right now, that's why like I'm talking and I can't like get another freaking sentence in.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with any of this.
No, you're okay.
I'm just I do have, like, when aliens land, what do you think they ask?
I think they just annihilate us. I'll be honest. Like I think if we find out about aliens, it's already been too late. I do not think that. I think it would be the equivalent of us like stepping on a bug. Or if you
But
hear a
I've always
grumbling,
wondered.
that is my dog complaining that she's
Yeah, I
not
hear them.
paying attention and she's trying to bite me.
I always thought like if aliens land, right? They
Yeah.
would just look at us and go, "So is it all just sex trafficking and drugs, right?" Like that. Like I think that would be their conclusion. Like that would be their conclusion, right?
Yeah.
Like
I
it was
mean,
just like, so you guys are all just perverted, like drug addicts.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like, yeah, but there's this country. It's like, but what does that country do? Well, it sells people mostly. It's like, then what do they bring in? No, drugs. It's like, what does that country do? Well, that country sells drugs. What does it bring in?
people.
Well, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, people mostly. It's just like, I think that's the key, right? Like that's why I think like Jeff Bezos and them.
Yeah.
That's why they're like leaving the planet.
Oh no, 100%. We got to get away from
Right.
the aliens before they just decide that we're all just a bunch of perverted sex traffickers and just wipe us off the map.
But I think the rich are just leaving the planet. Like they're just like, we can't. Like Jeff Bezos is like, I don't want to be here. I'm going away. I'm leaving. Like you saw what happened when they in 2020 when they shut down the Applebee's. We all lost our minds. Like they're just like. But I remember
no
that. Like
longer get $25 Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, once the chicken fritters were gone, dude, the guns came out. Like, you know, the streets were they're on fire.
Yeah.
Right? Because we just, you know, we learned what we learned about 2020. One of the most important lessons is keep Dave and Buster's open, because once that shit closes, everyone kind of goes fucking nuts, dude.
Dude, speaking of Jeff Bezos, I saw a video of him a couple weeks ago where someone approached him in the street and the person was just kind of like harassing him, being like, "Oh, Jeff Bezos, I'm a big fan. Jeff Bezos, so and so," and like with a camera, and Jeff Bezos just replied like most, you know, billionaires caught on camera, which is just like polite wave and walks away. But what got my eye was his bodyguard, who was standing behind him and just like had his eye on the cameraman the entire time, as is his job. But if you look at the guy's hand, it's clearly fake. Like the guy has a prosthetic arm, and I guarantee he's got like a subgun under his jacket or something.
Yeah, they do that. Right? Isn't that what the Secret Service does, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like
they have a prosthetic arm, and they have one. It's like almost always look like it's always in their jacket, like grabbing appendix, but the real arm is actually they have like a gun underneath something.
already
right?
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that before in the Secret Service.
Yeah.
I remember there's one schizo video because there was you know how the Secret Service, whenever the president's talking,
Yeah.
one of the agents they're always looking around. They're like, they kind of look like schizophrenic, so they're just like looking at everything.
Yeah.
Right. I remember when it was like during Barack Obama, there's like, because I'm all into schizo and like conspiracy videos. I love watching them. You know, like the ones where like, you know, if you look at the curvature of the Pope, the papal like announcement, it's actually the eyes of a snake. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right. But I remember one of the videos was like a Secret Service agent who was bald, and he was looking around the room like constantly, like, right.
Yeah.
And I remember the way the lighting was, his head was like changing shape because it's in a dark, half lit room. And if you know anything about lighting, like if you're in a dark, half lit room, you can like completely like become skinny or fat depending on how the camera's looking at you.
Yeah.
And people like, he's shape shifting before your eyes. He's a reptilian like security guard. I'm like, no, it's just he's bald and he's hyper alert, and there's light shifting because the room is dark and he only has like a little bit of light on him. So the camera, every time it moves, he looks like he just gained 20 pounds or lost his entire face.
Yeah.
He's not shape shifting reptilians. Now there are shape shifting reptilians, but I don't think they're in control anymore. Like, you know, the ending.
Remember in the beginning of this where you were talking about like, yes, I will now go full Alex Jones, and then people will buy my plague carriers. I appreciate the dedication to the bit.
Well, no, but it's true though, because like here's the actual bit. The actual bit is that Metal Gear Solid 2 predicted all of this.
Actually, yes, it 100% did. Holy shit! I had a whole discussion about that the other day. All of it.
Remember the scene when Raiden discovers that the controller was the robot, and he goes, untwisted truths, and you have echo chambers where everyone stays inside them, and no one's right when no one's wrong, and there's a feedback loop. I'm like, holy shit. And then here's the most important part. The most true ending to Metal Gear Solid 2. Remember when he leaves New York
Yeah.
after he finds out that the Patriots are all dead, which is true, by
Yeah.
the way. And remember the actual hidden ending where they just go on about the McDonald's cheeseburger?
I
Do
do
you know
not
that?
remember that. No, I
There's a hidden
can't say
ending
I
in
was
Metal.
good enough of a gamer to get the hidden ending.
Yeah, in Metal Gear Solid 2, because remember, doesn't he go to New York to find the Patriots, right?
Yes.
And they're all dead. They're not there.
Yeah.
The floor is empty, isn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of a weird plot line that they just kind of, I don't want to say abandoned, but basically.
But I want to tell everyone listening, because I want to get into this, and because I can go on forever, and we're doing good.
Yes.
What I've learned, because I know super rich people, right? I'm from Los Angeles. Come on,
Yes.
guys. Friend of mine's worth like $100 million. Big time money, real fucking money, right? What I've learned is, and I keep thinking, and I keep going on to this about, I go to bed to Alex Jones every night. And when I hear about this, one reason, like, I'm super into guns, and I want to get people, armed, and I want them to get gear and like be fit, because actually there's actually another true story behind it, but this one's far more interesting. Is I go like, sometimes I think if you were to do it, like, you get all the shit on, right? You get your fucking cool guy gear, and then you go, fuck it, I know where they are. I know where the 13th floor is. I know who controls it. And then you go, what?
Patriots. Metal Gear
Yeah,
Solid
no.
joke.
Yeah, like you finally find out who they are, and you know where they are, right? Not in the they, the 4chan thing, but the they, or the 8kun thing, but the they, and the ones who control it all, the people up top, and you go, I'm gonna do it. And I always feel like you get all your gear on, and you find the building, you go, I'm gonna take these fucking globalist bastards out. I'm gonna get them. I know they are. And you get to the 13th floor, and you get there, and there's just like a good looking girl named Sarah, like a receptionist. And you're like, and you're looking at her, and she's like, what are you doing here? And you're like, what? And you're like, sir, right? Like, I'm gonna use me in this example, like, Mr. Rebel, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like, no, but I'm a freedom fighter. I got it. I'm gonna free America. I'm like, no, Mr. Rebel, your wife is waiting for you outside. Her name is Jessica, remember? And I'm like, I have a wife? And like, yes, Mr. Rebel. And then as she's talking to me, like, two security guards just slowly take all my kit off of me. Like, they just take they're
They're wearing white orderly outfits.
Right, they're just taking it all off me, like, slowly. And I'm like, I have a wife? Like, yes, you have soccer practice too. Mr. Rebel, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm a freedom fighter. I'm here to, like, to free everybody. I'm like, Mr. Rebel, Jessica's in the car for you. Remember, you and her were shopping. You guys got yourself a Kia Sorento. I'm like, I have a car? I have a car payment? Like, yeah, you have a car payment. And remember, you have a house. You got to get the water heater fixed, Mr. Rebel. And I'm like, oh. And then by that point, all my gear is gone, right? And all my guns are gone. Like, all my kit is gone that I was going to use to free the world, right? And I just look down, and I'm wearing a stupid button-down shirt with, like, a sweater, and I'm like 20 pounds heavier, right? And like, I feel the top of my head, and my hairline's receding. And then I open my eyes again, and I'm wearing, like, thick rim glasses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Where am I? And then, like, they slowly, like, lead me outside, and then I look over, and there's like a Kia, there's a Kia Sorento with Jessica, who's like, a 6 out of 10, maybe. And but she looks nice. She looks well put together.
She's a dental hygienist.
Yeah, there you go. And then they just slowly put me in the car and go, Mr. Rebel, remember, you have to pick up your daughters, Carrie, and you have to pick up your son, Jerry, from basketball and soccer practice at 4 p.m., remember? And I go, yeah. And my wife goes, honey, come on, we gotta go to soccer practice. And remember, you're gonna help me. You're gonna do the water heater for me because you love me so much. I'm like, I guess, yeah. I guess I have a house. I guess I have a house. I guess I have a car payment. And then right before you drive off, they just, like, the orderly, like, knocks on your window and says, like, points his finger to roll it down, and you roll it down, and he goes, the McRib is back. And you go, and then he just points, and you just drive off.
Have you ever thought about making short films? Have you ever thought
Yeah, I
of
have.
becoming a gun tuber yourself? Because I think you could fit a very specific niche.
Of just insanity.
Of just. Are you familiar with the production house A24?
Yes. Don't they doing that Civil War video that everybody was threatening to kill each other over on Twitter about?
They are. I don't even want to know what the. But I do really like Alex Garland as a director. I
Mhm.
really liked Annihilation and his movie Men. Um,
The Clive
I.
Owen one.
Sorry. Yes. Yes.
The Clive Owen one, right? Yeah.
No. Was that Clive Owen? It wasn't Clive Owen.
No, the Men was one where all men are like. That was the one where they're like.
They're all played by the same guy, but I don't think it was Clive Owen.
And then everyone's like, no, I know it wasn't Clive Owen. Children of Man was Clive Owen.
Children of Men was Clive Owen.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Men. It was like the chick goes to like the English countryside and every man like, makes her clean the floor or something.
Yes, but it turns into this weird, super surreal horror movie.
Yeah. All the men in her life don't respect her and don't listen to her. And they're
Yeah,
all like,
there's a deeper meaning behind it, but I genuinely did enjoy it as a.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But it's that director, and if you throw all the bullshit politics out of the window, I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining movie, if nothing else. It'll probably be preachy, but I know someone who worked on it in the gun department, and he sent me photos, and it looked pretty. Apparently, they broke 2 Mark 46s on set, which is kind of interesting. A24
Mark 46 as in the
like
7.62 belt fed.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
They
Okay.
most of the guns on that are real and were used accordingly. I like most of the movies that A24 puts out. They usually leave me with a really bad taste in my mouth, and I kind of like that because I'm a masochistic content enjoyer, I guess. I don't know why. Your description and everything there made me think that you could direct a good movie, and it made me think.
Well, thank you.
Yes, and I think that is some like content creation outside of the memes is something that I think you'd be good at.
I need to do it. I need to grow. Like one of my ideas, was called Lucas Goes To, and I want an idea of someone who's super into Lucas Bakken but does everyday things. Like Lucas goes to Costco, and it's a Lucas Bakken like guy who wants to be Lucas, but he just keeps going to different places and telling people how to do speed reloads.
Yeah.
I love the idea of shot timers for the homeless. Like I think that's good.
Yeah.
Like if there's just homeless people in Skid Row in Los Angeles and you just drop off a shot timer and tell them how to reduce their split times. Like I think that's a skit I want to do where I show up in full like kit and go over, like I want to go to like some crack den and go over why I actually think the Surefire RC2's decibel rating that's a little bit higher than like a Nomad Dead Air is actually worth it because the easy mounting system. But I want to describe that to a den of crack addicts. Like I want to describe that process, Like I want to bring up J situation data to a whorehouse. Like I want to go there and they go like, hey, how much? I go, well, hold on. I'm going to buy 2 hours of your time because I do want to discuss kind of the difference between fixed and like variable baffling. And I kind of want to go over that with you. And hold on. No, don't touch that. Please put your hand down. Yeah, no, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Okay. Anyways. So have you guys heard of war comps? Like I want to do that.
I enjoy that. That is a very schizophrenic and different form of content creation that I think.
By the way,
yes.
Oh, sorry. No, sorry.
No,
I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I want everyone to listen to is that the goal of Rebels Raiders outside of getting the gear to the people at a good affordable price, right?
Yes.
The goal of all this is to actually get that Johnny Cage lifestyle, right? Is I don't want to live in the middle of the fucking wilderness with my farm and my base trad wife. I don't give a shit about any of that. I don't care.
I mean, I still want my house in the wilderness, but
you can have the nature. My goal is to burn down nature because I want to pave the rainforest and put up luxury condos. Okay. I don't give a fuck about nature. I love animals. I do. And that's the only thing I like. But when it comes to all these hiking and outdoors, I will develop the Grand Canyon. I'm an anarcho-capitalist in that sense where I want every street corner to have 14 different fast food. Like, weren't you talking about obesity earlier? I'm like, yeah, but I do want 18 McDonald's in every street corner.
Accelerate. Have you seen Idiocracy?
Yes.
My mind is
Of
jumping
course.
to it. That is one of my favorite movies.
But I want it to be worse than that.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't want I want it to be that, but with guns. Like, I don't want to have currency. I just want to have Glocks. Like, I don't want to say things in the name of how much it costs. I want to say things how much Glocks it is. Like,
How
that's 4 Glocks, man. I'm not paying for that. Like, I want to say that,
I mean,
right?
you get your change in high points.
Right. And and if you don't like say taglines to gun companies, you are murdered on the spot.
Incredible.
You know, if you don't end every sentence with the Sig Sauer guarantee, you're shot in the head. Like, you're just shot. Like, you just report to the local inquisitor and you are murdered. No, anyways. But my point is, I'm different. I like the city shit. That's me. That's fine. I know most people don't. That's perfectly fine. You guys like the country. That's great. You guys want to go out there and hang out with cows. Rock on.
I do
like
like
goats.
cows. And yaks, which I've been hanging around with yaks recently. They're pretty cool.
You guys like that shit? Go out to the country. I like the city shit. I like that shit. My goal is to get the Hollywood Hills house, right? The big house on top of the hill. And I want just a revolving door of empty-headed whores who come in and out of there only because of my money, right? Like, that's it. Like, they're just there because of my money. I also have another fantasy, but like, I want to be like Homelander from The Boys, where I'm on the edge of a balcony just rubbing one out going, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like, just like that, right? But the goal of all that is I plan on getting there, and then I plan on literally burning it all down. That's the goal. Like, my goal of Rebels Raiders is to get a Lambo and then light it on fire.
Based. Fucking
That's
based.
the goal. I'm already about a third there, but the goal is I want to make sure that I get that Lambo, right? And actually, I want to do it the next influencer meet, because the last one they blew up a Hummer, and I want to bring my Lambo, and I don't want to tell Demo Ranch. I'm just going to bring my Lambo there. And then like, oh, he has a Lambo, and then I'm gonna drive it at the end of his range and go blow that fucker up, fucking shoot it, and then I'm gonna light it on fire. Because the amount of work you have to put in to get this shit, amount of people that you attract, it pisses me the fuck off. And I really want to burn it all down. Because how many assholes get the big house? How many assholes get that shit? But I want to get gear out to the people. I want to give the people the good shit, the good gear, the fitness advice, the shit around it. I gotta do more educational content. I do.
Yeah.
I want, like I said, like context, right? Like, I'm like, hey guys, maybe 500 meter shots. Don't have to worry about them too much. Maybe running a mile, like I said earlier. But point is, I want to get that gear out there. I want to get that stuff going. And then I want, when I get to that level where you get all of it, I'm like, yeah, then like if I could, right? I'd have the Hollywood house. I have those bodysuit hoes come with me to the next demolition, like in a year, 3 years, whatever. Come to me with the next Demo Ranch influencer meet, right? Then you just pull that Lamborghini up to the front by that berm, and you go blow it up, and everyone goes, what? And I go, shoot the fucker, shoot it. And it's like a brand new Lambo, so it's fully good to go, and they light it up. Then I light it up, and I walk up, and I take a fucking Mark II flamethrower, and I just light it on fucking fire. I just blow the fucking thing up in front of everyone. Everyone's cheering, going, yeah, yeah. Then while it's still on fire, I stand on top of the hood and I start jumping up and down on it, going, fuck it, yeah. And as they're all cheering your name, going, rebel, 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 I just take my Glock 21 and put it underneath my chin and tickle my fucking brains out right there.
You've achieved peak.
Yeah, and
like,
then you just
may as
die
well
on
die
that.
at a good moment.
Yeah, and then you just die on that funeral pyre, like that pyre of stuff. And then because I'm dead, I have a code with all my friends, right? Then I just delete all the social media. And then like the last thing I send out is an email saying the warehouse is open, go at it. And then I just open the door to the Rebels Raiders warehouse, and everyone just runs in there and takes all the gear for free. And that's it. And then the Hollywood Hills home just blows up and it just sits there. Then it's LA, so I can do something stupid like, oh, I can have it declared an art piece or something. That way there's just a big pile of rubble. That way every time everyone drives by their luxury $15 million homes, they go, dude, there's the dude who literally worked his way up from the base of that fucking city to the top of this hill, and he had it all. And then he literally lit it all on fire and tickled himself.
Yeah.
In front of everybody. Right? You know, you're at the influencer meet, you go, I got a reel for everybody, and this shit ain't going to be 60 fucking seconds. Boom. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. Yeah, you've heard this show before. I do say that I think you have you have somehow done more suicide jokes than I do in probably about 3 episodes. About the same.
But I'm saying, like, isn't that cool, right?
Yes. I
And
do
of course, it's a Glock 21. Everybody listening, what do you think I'm gonna do with a 9mm? No, I'm putting a 45 230 grain through my cranium. Okay, I'm putting that in the dome. Or 5.7. 5.7 would do. I'm a big fan of the opposites.
I tried a 5.7 today. I don't think I was a very big fan of it.
What did you shoot?
One of those new PSA rocks, like the 5.7.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't like it? That's one I want to get.
I think that it had a muzzle device of some kind on it. I think it was just kicking too much shit back into the action because it was filthy, way filthier than it should have been for how new it was. And then it just stopped working. But the fella that owned it had like a single. He just threw a birdcage on it for memes, but I think it was artificially gunking it up faster than it should have been.
Because you can put a standard AR. You can put a standard AR birdcage on there, right?
Yes, but I do think that was probably adding to what was making it not work. Did
you hear that?
No. What happened?
I just got an email from work. It just gave me the alarm. But yeah, I've heard about you can just pop a Surefire like war comp on that, can't you?
Yeah, probably. I mean, you'd probably put a suppressor on there through that.
Because it's the same bullet. It's a lighter grain, but 5.7. I mean, I know they say 5.7, but it is a .224 bullet. It's the same bullet that you use in 5.56.
Yeah.
You can, but it won't have enough powder. You can use a 5.7 bullet in a 5.56 NATO case, the 45 case. You can. It's just insanely light grain, but 30 grain. It probably will disintegrate.
Yeah.
Right. But you can't use like green tip in 5.7 because it's just too heavy and the bullet's too long.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone knows this. I do reloading, so I don't know if anyone knows that. I probably should do more content like that too, because no one talks about
content on that, because that's actually really interesting. It's something I've never really thought about. Like, can you fit a steel core projectile inside a 5.7? It's neat. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't actually know it was a .224 grain caliber projectile. Like,
now, if anyone isn't, it is a .224 caliber projectile. I think because the bullet itself is actually, to make up for the grainage, it actually is physically smaller as far as length goes.
Yeah.
But it is the same diameter. Like I said, you can use the 5.7 bullet in 5.56 casings. You can do that.
Yeah.
I just think you're not going to get anything out of it because it's too it's too light.
Yeah.
Just probably won't stabilize. But now I'm a huge proponent of 5.7, right? Because when it comes to pistols, isn't it all just, well, I shouldn't say all, but it's accuracy, the ability to do follow-up shots in quick succession, and magazine capacity, on which 5.7 dominates in all three of those categories.
Yes, I believe you and Ivan, who's also been a guest in the show, would probably get into a spirited discussion over 5.7 versus 22 TCM.
There is, I've seen that before, right? That and I think 22 TCM is even cheaper, and I think Mac did a whole thing on that about 22 TCM, but I don't know too much about the cartridge.
Neither do I. I'd like to figure it out. I think a lot of it is just like magazine and parts compatibility. It's essentially just like a barrel swap. I might be totally wrong, but I think it's a neat caliber.
I'm a 9mm guy. I mean, I have a Glock 17, but my dad and I bought Glock 21s.
Yeah.
I fucking love them.
Something about them kind of fucks. I want a Glock 20.
10mm, right?
Yeah.
Because you get told like, well, 9mm, it's like easier to shoot. But like when I find my Glock 21, it feels the same to me.
Yeah.
It feels the same as the 9mm. It feels I shoot better with the 21 than I do with the 9. I shoot better with the 45 than I do with the 9. I think it's because I have big, massive fucking hands.
That's
21
probably
fits
part
my
of it.
hands a little better.
More grip, more like offhand contact.
But I'm also, for me, even though the pistol is extremely shitty, for me, I can one-hand a Desert Eagle. So there's that. I have a 44 Magnum Desert Eagle.
That's fucking awesome, actually.
And here's what I say with the Desert Eagle. I say it's the most the Desert Eagle is all that's wrong with the world.
Yeah.
And you go, what do you mean? I go, well, here's the thing. It's big and expensive, right? It's like it's the varsity cheerleader of guns. I go, it's expensive. It's big in the fact that it's larger than life, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievably unreliable. like I can fire about 50, and I've cleaned the shit out of that thing. I can fire about 50 rounds out of it, and then it's like done. It's fucked.
Yeah.
It's fucked. Like you got 50 rounds of it working, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to shoot. It's hard to be accurate. It's I think I go, but god damn it, is it so good looking of a gun? It really is and I don't really get into aesthetics of guns that much, but I go, it really is a good looking gun.
It is neat.
And it's my favorite one to shoot.
I
Even
have
though
a
it's
buddy who
horrible.
appendix carries one. I think in California. It's kind of neat.
He appendix carries a Desert Eagle?
Yep.
Why?
He's a meme.
That's for the
I
meme.
think he would
That's for
probably
the
carry
meme.
one of his flintlocks if he could. Entirely for memes.
Could you conceal? Can you CCW a flare gun? I've always thought about that.
I mean, I don't see why not. If you can conceal carry a Desert Eagle, you can definitely conceal carry a flare gun.
Thing is, a Desert Eagle is like borderline, like fucking, like asking to get killed because you got to rack that. Okay, I understand that everyone says like, I get it. I understand that modern, like when you look at modern pistols, yeah, you can rack a Glock. I wouldn't do it to a 320, but you can rack a Glock back and put it in there. Go, but the Desert Eagle, like the safety's backwards.
Yeah, everything about it's fucked.
Right, like it's like the damn thing is like it's like a fucking like 3-pound gun, but it has like a 1911 half-pound like trigger.
Yeah,
like it's the gun goes off. Like it's not. When I know everyone goes, well, of course a gun goes off. I go, yeah, but when you fire it, it's a very odd gun to fire.
Yeah,
like my Glock has more trigger weight than the Desert Eagle does, and the Desert Eagle is like this uncontrolled. It's like a very like heavy with this fucking massive fireball of a cartridge of a 44 Magnum. I don't even use the 50 AE, but
yeah.
I go, the safety is backwards. Like you have to push up. Wait, yeah, you push. Is it which way? How is it set on the Desert Eagle? Oh, I can't remember right now. It's the opposite of like a 1911.
Yeah.
Right, because in 1911 you push down. It's the opposite because on a 1911 you push up to go safe and down to go off safe, right?
Yeah.
And that's on the frame. But I said, imagine putting reversing a 1911 safety, but the safety's on the slide. So does he rack one and then just shove it in his pants and he walks around with like single action all day?
I do think that
or does he really
designed before like human factors engineering was really taken into account, and I
oh
have
yeah,
an idea.
Okay, because I'm like, okay, you want to go into real esoteric pistol knowledge? Do you want to go into it, or you're like, this is taking too long?
Sure, but we probably have to wrap up after this because this is almost a 3-hour episode.
Dude, I never shut up.
No,
well,
I'm enjoying it, but it is almost midnight here.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm the same time zone as you.
Yes.
But, I mean, this is where I get like really about the pistols. I go, we all know why double action exists on pistols for holster draw. That's it.
Yeah.
Safeties on pistols are for holster draw. I go single. It's like I say this about everything. I go single and safe for decock and double. Easy. That's it.
Yeah.
You go back your holster, your decock and double are single and safe. There you go. Has anyone ever in their life ND'd a Beretta? Ever? Yeah. From the holster? Like, no. Like, never. Like, ever. Right? And I go, but that Desert Eagle, I'm trying to figure out how the fuck you carry it, because how do you flip the safety off when you shoot?
Yeah.
I have shack hands. I can't activate that.
I wish I had a Desert Eagle on me to try it, but it's been years since I've even come across one. It is not a gun that is designed to be used quickly or carried in any fashion.
But it's so cool. But it really is cool. It is really cool, and it's over the top, and it's stupid. Yes. But it is very cool.
And that's what makes
you look really cool using it.
Yeah. That's what makes it cool.
And I wonder what... Anyways, all right. That got a little bit boring because I like all that. I like all that. Like, you know, I go off at the 320. People like argue about it, and I go, I can fix it. Like, really, I go, yeah, just put a trigger safety. I don't understand why it doesn't have one.
Yeah, because they don't want to be Glock.
Yeah, but they are, so it's fine.
Yeah.
like I never seen a striker fired pistol with a double action trigger blade like that. Like, I don't.
Yeah, not have a trigger safety.
Just put the trigger safety on, then the problem is solved. Like, isn't that the point? I thought the point of the gun was you could do that. Like, just SIG, have everyone send in the trigger group, and then you can pop the trigger out and then put a bladed one in there, or the hinge one that the MMP does. Use the hinge one. That's fine. and problem solved
Yeah.
completely. I just saved Sig. You listening? I just saved you, I don't know, a bunch of lawsuits. Just
Just
trigger
put a fucking
safety.
trigger safety in it. But Sig is kind of famous for not admitting fault ever, because admitting fault allows liability.
Admit nothing, deny everything, make counter accusations, right?
Make counter accusations, and then slowly retrofit everything to be slightly more safe in small increments.
What is your opinion on that? I've always wanted to know.
On Sig,
On the 320 thing.
on the 320 thing, I wouldn't carry one.
Yeah.
Like I'd have one for range. I'd have one for like 3-gun or something like that. I probably wouldn't carry one every day. I know that they're a lot
May I ask?
safer. I
Oh,
know.
sorry.
No, it's okay. I know they're getting a lot better over, hundreds of thousands of them are out there and being actively beta tested, and by everyone who has one, and incremental improvements are being made. I still don't like that as a business practice. I'm not one of those like, oh, Glock, Sig, fanboy. Like, I remember a guy that I follow in the 3D2A space a little while ago. He pointed out, like, if you have a P320 under really specific circumstances, like you have a specific grip module and you have a specific 21 round extended magazine, and you reload it a very specific way, which is like holding down on the magazine release as you reload it, it will over insert and it'll bend the ejector, which is not a replaceable part. It's bent into the bent steel, like the stamped steel FCU. And I remember, and this is like one of the few times I've went on Twitter just to see people talking about it, and everyone's like, "Oh, you fucking Glock fanboy! Like you just suck Glock off all the time." And it's like, dude, this is just literally just a PSA. It's just a PSA. There's other companies other than these, two, right? And like there are SIGs that I don't mind. I have a SIG. There are SIGs that I don't like, and in this case, it's like I would not carry a P320 because of the problems that they have had, and because of my use case and like why I would carry a gun. I'm sure that there are many people that do. I'm sure that many people have P320s at work, and I'm not going to shit on them for their choices. However, I do not live in a SIGger neighborhood. And
Jesus.
and I usually go to my way to recommend brands that I would personally carry, which would be like, yeah, sure, Glock, whatever, Walther.
But why is that weird to say that? Because literally, as you're talking, I have my Glock 21 in my hand right now, my right hand.
Because I feel
But-
like people get tribal about stuff. It's like, if you like this one thing, you're a fanboy, and I think that takes a real lack of critical thinking. Because I like something and because I don't like something doesn't mean I can't be critical of the brand, and it can't mean that I can't recommend other things. Like I'd probably recommend a CZ P10 is like $300. It's one of my favorite pistols that's on the market. I would carry one 100% of the time. I would recommend that before a SIG for the same reasons. Like I feel like people hear the word Glock and it's like, oh, you're just a Glock person. It's like, no, it just works. Like, I like the ecosystem, it works, but I'm not going to pretend that it is necessarily better or worse than a lot of other things. However, I would carry a Glock every day. I would not carry a P320. If that answers
that I
your
agree
question.
with.
Yeah.
No, that I get. I've now, because I'm in California, so I'm just a Glock Gen 3, which, by the way, everyone listening, that is the Master Race Glock is Gen 3. That is.
I do very much like the Gen 3. Even the Gen 5 stuff, I always retrofit it to have Gen 3 bits.
I don't know the difference between them, to be honest with you. But
mostly the spring guide and the locking lugs.
Okay.
Ambidextrous if you're wrong-handed, but fuck wrong-handed people.
I mean, if Glock just said, "Hey, here's Gen 3 MOS," isn't that the end?
Yeah.
Right. That is the end of everybody, right? It's just because, I mean, the other greatest pistol ever, which we all know what it is.
Desert Eagle.
It's the Walther. No, it's the Walther P99.
You know what? Yeah.
It actually is.
Yeah.
I know that which I would say probably now the PDP, right?
The PDP is really good. I really like it. Commando Bond got me onto them, and they're really good.
The one thing that I wish they still had is, I love them because of my big ass hands. I fucking love trigger guard releases on pistols.
Oh yeah, like the VP9, like the USP.
Yes.
Yeah.
The P99 has it. I fucking Love those.
I do really like those.
The paddles just pop like that. It makes it so much fucking easier. It's like crazy easy. Like if they had a PD, because I think there's a few PPQs that do that.
Yeah.
But I think if they had a PDP with the paddle release, I mean, that's literally, I would throw all my Glocks into the volcano and just use that. Because the PDP is probably the most ergonomic pistol ever.
I do really like them.
Yeah, and it's like the top.
They just work. They just work really well. I'm too invested in the Glock ecosystem, and like now that I have, God, I don't even know how many fucking rounds, and if I do the math, it'll make me depressed. So I think that I'm kind of like sunk cost fallacying it because they just work for me.
I have that. I want to give everyone a few things. My dad has a Gen 1 Glock from 1988 or something.
Yeah.
He has it in his nightstand. Right?
That's awesome.
But I'm a huge, but yeah, still, of course he does. I'm a huge Glock. Like I said, I have a 17 and a 21. Huge Glock fan. Like that's. Did I cut you off? I'm sorry if I did.
No, you didn't at all. And even then, like this is that kind of show. You're more than allowed to do that.
Oh. But I'll tell everyone a tip, a very quick tip, very easy, because I want to end on some education to help everybody else out. Yeah. Blackhawk Omnivore. Everyone goes Blackhawk. Oh, Omnivore is actually a pretty good holster. But
I've heard that. I do not use one, but like I've heard that it's one of their few products that is surprisingly like good.
Yeah, and the Blackhawk Omnivore, you can get it to the light. I'm a big fan of the Streamlight TLR -1 HL.
Yes.
Right? I'm a big fan of that. So I use that on everything. I used to use it in my rifles, but I went with the ProTac instead. But yeah, I use that. You get a Blackhawk Omnivore. I use Coyote one, but whatever. You get that. Then you get, if you go on, you can find them on Amazon. On the back, they actually have a Blackhawk Omnivore or Blackhawk to Safariland adapter.
So you can run them with the mid-rides.
Yes. So what you can do is you can put that adapter. Now, the thing is that plate allows you to run Safariland gear on Blackhawk gear, which I don't know why anyone would do that.
Yeah, I'm surprised Blackhawk is still really around. I
don't know about that mounting platform. Yeah. But anyways, you can mount, you can put that adapter on there. Then when you put that adapter on there, you can use your Safariland QLS fork. And now you have one holster for literally every pistol. So the reason why I say that is a lot of people go, well, I have a dedicated Safariland 6045S for my Glock 19, whatever, right? Yeah. Or I have a Ragnarok or whatever, I have it. But I go for all those pistols, like basically the PSA Dagger, the PSA Rock 5.7, an FN 5.7, maybe a PDP, right? A lot of those, probably PDP is a little better, but
so
maybe
you're
a
recommending
P99
locks into anything with that light, kind of like
with
the
that light
floodlight or
the what?
The Fulster floodlight. It's a similar kind of concept where they made three. Like one locks into any gun with an X300, one locks into any gun with a TLR1.
Perfect, just like that.
With a
but you can, and the entire thing might cost you $60. But that's why I keep telling everyone that, because like I said, I know like PSA cranks.
Or if you like have a bunch of handguns.
Yeah.
In this house we have a holster problem. I have probably like 3 holsters for everything, and it's become a problem. It's like a Tupperware tub. It overflows.
Here's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Rebels Raiders is going to build you an Omnivore set that I have. You use Safariland QLS, right? You use that?
I do, but please, dude, I have too many holsters. Right now I'm like Tier 1 concealed is usually my go-to, which the irony of that is I'm not using my, the concealed ones. But you're right. But like at the same time, it's like my problem is not I use a bunch of different pistols. I use a bunch of different lights. So the Omnivore is actually not going to work for me because I only have a TLR1 on one thing. 2 things of X300s. Two things of TLR1s, 2 things of X300s. One thing has a TLR7, one thing has a TLR7 sub.
Do you just like lights or something?
Everything gets a light for me.
Well, I get that, but why do you, like, for example, I mean, I've spent a lot of money on standardization of equipment. Like my dad and I have the same everything. I build ourselves out like an infantry, again, like the infantry, right?
I don't know. Like I standardize the type of pistol and the parts, but everything has a different use case for me. And I'm not going to like pretend like, oh yes, I have this for one situation, I have this for another. It's like, no, like realistically you can get away with one, but like Glock 43X, it only fits a TLR7 MOS. Like TLR7 that's built for the 43 MOS. it won't fit.
That one I get because it's a specific light. That one I
Yeah.
get.
Like one of them has an X300 Bravo because that fits the antimatter wing, which I actually really like for like my Go Fast
Holy
gun.
shit! I don't know what you're talking about. I
It's
know
a
what
gas pedal.
X300 is, but I don't know what the gas.
Yeah,
What's the gas
it's like
pedal?
something I don't need, but I think it's kind of cool, and they're gracious.
Wait.
Let me try one.
What's the gas pedal?
It's so for when
I've heard
you're
of that
doing
before.
like
I don't
Go
know what it is.
Fast LARPy shit, um, it's been a really common thing in like the competition shooting world for a little while. Basically, it's
Okay.
like a ledge that you put your thumb on, so you can basically counteract upwards recoil. And I did a build just for fun to see how it would go, putting every recoil reducing gizmo, like quality one,
Oh,
to a Glock that
okay.
I could.
Sorry.
So
So like on the Glock, it would be like I'm holding my 21 right now.
you're okay.
The gas pedal would be. What'd you say?
You're okay. Yeah, it mounts
Oh.
to the light, and it would basically like give you
It'd be right above where the pressure switch on the TLR one would be around there.
around there, and
Oh, okay. So my
it
left hand would
really
push down
works.
on it.
Yeah, and like this
Okay.
is just a fun build, but it is not in like 500 to 600 rounds. It hasn't affected reliability in any tangible way. I've broken somehow 2 red dots on this thing, but I don't think either of those are the fault of the gun. I think it's more the fault of Aimpoint and Steiner, respectively.
But I think we're hitting at the 3 hour mark here because I don't want to go over here.
Yeah, no, now I'm getting into pistol autism. But yes, everything else just has like different lights for different reasons. It's like TLR 7s get carried because it doesn't really increase the footprint. TLR 1 and just like my general thing that doesn't have anything cool or fancy on it that I just like. X300s sometimes because I think they look cool.
Well, there you go. I wasn't trying to cut you off. I'll just let you know about the 3 hours.
of
I know you
course,
said you
I
wanted to wrap it
appreciate
up around there.
Yeah. I could get into pistol autism all day. I love it. But yeah.
Do it in the next round. Let's go over pistols in the next one.
Yes, deal. But yeah, I have a lot of holsters for that reason. Anyways, I had a lot of fun. You should chill yourself now and tell us a little bit more about yourself and where we can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me all on, you just type in Rebels Raiders. The website is rebels-raiders.com. Like I said, I still have that Cannae inventory. So if you guys want to support someone who YOLO'd his life savings into a meme of getting you guys good gear, that's me. Rebels-raiders.com for the website.
You have good
Rebels Raiders
and good entry-level plate carriers, I want to say. I don't even want to say like entry-level. I feel like that's like kind of talking.
I don't have the plate carriers yet. I'm building them up, but they're getting there. Yes. And then for anyone who has any Cannae gear, I'm not Cannae. It's a whole separate company, but I am honoring the warranties for that. So I'm taking that on myself.
That's awesome.
So if any Cannae gear needed warranty, I'm taking that on. Rebels Raiders on Instagram is my kind of personal one. It's still a company one, but I just use that one as like a fun one. Yeah. And there's Rebels Raiders Gear, which you can follow that, which is the old Cannae account. And then Rebels Raiders Gear is on Facebook as well. And then if you guys ever go to my website, I also have the bonfire link on there, which has some t-shirts. And then I also have some donation links on there so you guys can give to goat charities if you are feeling up to it, because those people are really nice people. They're really great. You know, we saved the goat farm back in 2020. We saved Bleeding Hearts Farm from this California state government. We literally saved them from losing their farm like grapes of wrath.
We should have talked about this more.
It's my fault. But yeah, like we literally did that like in 2020. Long story short, the California government was going to overtax Bleeding Hearts Farm land issue. And we came together. Basically, like it was, I think it might have been NorCal, but it's long story short, it's just like a land tax reevaluation thingy. It doesn't really matter as far as what happened, but the goat gang came together. We actually literally got like 20K raised. I even had to pop like a very famous comedian tweet about it. I even got that to happen. So we literally saved a goat farm. But they're great people out there. So if you see a goat charity, support that. And then, yeah, please go to rebelsraiders.com, grow. If you guys like the podcast, DM me. I answer all of them. I literally read all of the DMs. And when he posts this, I will read all the comments.
Yes.
And it will destroy me. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's rebelsraiders.com, at rebelsraiders, at rebelsraidersgear. Check it all out. If you have any questions, just DM me, and I'll love to talk. I love to talk to anyone. You guys can even just call me on Instagram. You can literally just call me on Instagram, and I'll probably pick up the phone and talk to you. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's pretty cool. I think like the only people we have had on here that do that are like you and Mike Michalski. I want to say we're bringing him back on soon. The Sons of Liberty Gunworks guy.
Oh yeah, no, I literally have a phone number for Rebels Raiders, which is 901. I use Google Voice for it, but the Google Voice goes right through my cell phone. So if you even call the customer service line for Rebels Raiders, it just goes right to my cell phone personally.
You probably shouldn't have said that out loud. There's
no, everyone can call. Everyone can call because no one's gonna know my even my personal line's probably out there anyways.
Yeah.
But because I'm sure I probably put. I think when I originally started Rebels Raiders, I didn't put the new phone number on, so I think the original packaging had my phone number.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have the Rebels Raiders team. I answer, but like I said, everyone wants to hit me up. Fucking go to my Instagram DMs, DM me, and then you can call. I mean, I like the Instagram calling feature. I think it's pretty cool. And just call me through Instagram.
I don't think I've ever used it on purpose for anyone. I use it by accident all the time, but I've never used it on purpose.
I know we're wrapping it up, but it is because people like it is a really cool function. It really is because you can just people go like, oh, what do I contact you? Oh, go on Telegram. I'm like, I know everyone does it by accident, and no one actually, but it actually is really good. Yeah. Like because you just go like
it does have that metabucks behind it.
What's that?
It has metabucks behind it.
It does. But I mean, like customers go, oh, how do I contact you? And I go, just call me through Instagram. Like, just call me.
Yeah,
it's free. Hit me up. It's fun. It's fun. And I don't use the video function that often because not great looking. But I just go like, dude, it's fucking fun. It's fun. Just hit me up on Instagram.
Based. Well, thank you for coming on again. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. By the way, for everyone listening, this actually means like a lot. Like I kind of had to hold myself back a little bit emotionally.
Really?
I did. I'm sorry. I know I'm making it longer.
Oh no, you
but
did. You're okay.
Honestly, like I said this about the fucking influencer meet. I don't view myself. I don't view myself as the guy. I view myself as just the viewer. So like from the bottom of my heart, I do like being on here means a lot to me.
Dude, you're interesting. This is overdue.
Well, thank you. But I do it as I don't, like I said, I don't see myself as like the grand dom, like, oh, I don't think he acts that way, but I go, I don't see myself as that guy. I just go like, to me, seeing this would be like, I don't know, like if someone just said, hey, you're now Chris Pratt's out. You're the star of Jurassic World now. I'm like, what the fuck? No. Right. So I'm like, like I said, after this, I'm going to go to the comments and be like, oh, who is this asshole talking? Like, that's like, I view myself as the viewer, not the subject matter. Yeah. So I really appreciate you all having me on here. It means a lot.
Anytime,
to me. It really
anytime. Always. I appreciate you coming on. Seriously.
All right. I'll be on tomorrow. It's fine.
Okay, deal. I'll see you there. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at SHOT. So don't do it. Yeah, I'll text you. I'm just gonna hang out with you guys so that way I don't really ruin everything. Deal. You won't ruin anything, dude. It's fucking SHOT Show. Anyways, okay, bye.